political corruption. It's not about production. It's all about destruction.
Well, happy Tuesday, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to a very special joint edition of Let's Talk Oconee SC, along with our friends from More to the Story with Luke and Jennifer Moore. And glad to have you in the studio this evening. I know you're adjusting your headsets. Can you hear?
Okay, I can hear good.
Is it too loud?
Nope.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Luke, good evening to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And Jennifer, it's always a pleasure. Maybe I need to move Katie the possum. Yeah, Katie was hanging around. It's time for her to go somewhere else this evening. Anyway, the reason for this show tonight is you had an opportunity, and I kind of wanted to hear the same thing, and I think there's a lot of other people wanted to hear it, that David McMahan reached out to you a couple of weeks ago and wanted to have an interview. I'm assuming to discuss things, I guess to give his side of the story of what's going on and kind of things of how he feels that things are happening. Is that correct?
Yeah, on the Journal, he made a comment that he wanted to be invited onto the show to discuss being called a thief and everything surrounding that. So, and Jennifer was talking to him and everything was like, well, we'll make it happen. You know, if you want to do it, we'll make it happen. And it took us a little bit to get everything together, but we did. We got everything together. It was last night, and it was a good interview. So he got to tell his side of everything and show his paperwork and what he had. And the people who sent in questions, they got to have their questions asked. Not all of them. I think I might have missed one or two, but pretty much everything went pretty good. There was just one that wasn't answered, but everything else he did answer.
Okay, and again, it was a little over an hour and almost 2 hour interview.
Almost 2 hours.
So for you folks that are watching tonight, I hope that you've got a cup of something to drink, coffee or Diet Mountain Dew like I have in the studio. And again, this is not a break. You will do some interjecting when things need to happen, but this is not going to be a kind of a political back and forth of what he said. We're just going to let his video, let him tell his answers. And from that point forward, it's going to be basically what he says. At some point later, there may be a discussion. But right now, this is what you and him sit down and you had a talk. And this is going to be from his words and what he has to say. Yeah,
the digging into things happened during the interview. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that watch and they'll say, well, I would have asked this and this and this. And there's probably a lot of questions that I missed or things that I could have brought out that I didn't think of. And same on his side. But
we were running out of daylight.
we was definitely running out of daylight. We tried to rush everything in. So the last 10 minutes of the interview, 15 minutes of the interview is when the people's questions got answered. So the most of the interview is him laying out his evidence of why he shouldn't be called a thief, the binders, just multiple topics that's been going on that's got him ruffled and upset.
Now, as far as comments, if you folks do post comments, we're going to post those comments up on the screen. They will be throughout the broadcast this evening. And again, we're going to let you comment. Keep it respectful, of course. But we're going to let you post comments. And again, those will be up on the screen. We're probably not going to respond to a lot of those comments as, again, the time constraints of tonight, because we want to try to get this in under 2 hours since it's going to be a long one. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is clip number 1. This sets the scene in the interview. Again, this is Luke, and Jennifer was there last night with David McMahan, again, former chairman of the Oconee Republican Party, and we're going to go ahead and kick that interview off right now.
Thank you for taking time with us. This interview has been requested. You requested it personally to address concerns and issue of people calling you a thief and whatever else.
Yeah.
So we'll jump right into that. We'll start there. I know you said you didn't want the questions ahead of time. We're just going to let it go where it goes, and it'll just be a conversation back and forth. It probably won't all be fun, but it is what it is. Politics ain't fun. So, but either way, thank you for, showing interest and being willing. So a lot of people probably wouldn't be willing. So we appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and say whatever. Let's let you address first, whatever your concerns, what do you want to bring up? And then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, of course, it's to nobody's, it's old news that, I was kicked out of the Republican Party in October of 21, October the 10th. And I decided to just move on with my life. And by the way, it's been good not having to worry about everybody else's problems, just to be honest with you. But however, people would call me up and tell me, that crazy bunch on that Let's Talk show or something, that Let's Talk Oconee show, it's called me a Nazi, a cult leader, an embezzler, a racist. Of course, this I've all documented. I'm not saying nothing that I can't back up, of course. You know me well enough.
Yeah.
And a thief. And I would ignore it, because everybody around me, friends telling me, just David is trying to get to you, and I'd ignore it. And I think everybody can agree for about 7-8 months, I stayed quiet.
Yep.
Didn't say a word to nobody. Until one day somebody said, you just don't believe what they're talking about you. Well, I made the mistake of listening to it. And I've decided right then and there, I was always taught that it don't matter how much money you got in your pocket. When you leave this earth, you better leave it with a good name. And I ain't no daggum thief. And so I'm here to document that I'm not a thief. If anybody wants to believe it, I got it right here. How the money transpired, how maybe you have been lied to about how the money went. I got all kind of text messages, right? Not text message, Facebook posts. David embezzled money. How much money did David take? There was $2,000 missing. I got it all right here. Nobody knows what in the heck they're talking about. I've got it audited by a professional accountant, every penny. And I can show you where Jim Mann manipulated y'all. If he told y'all something that's different in here, then I want it on video right now tonight.
Well, this is definitely the opportunity. Right. So I've always been the type of guy that whatever side that the facts and the truth lays on, then so be it.
Well, that's what you told me. It don't matter if it's
my side or not.
That's what you've told me, and that's why I called.
That's why we're here. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Well, let's go ahead and go. Let's jump right in.
Okay.
Let's start from the beginning, where this all come.
All right. Okay. I'll start. Let's see. All right. Get my stuff in order right here. Okay. Of course, the Let's Talk Oconee show started, blatantly saying that stole $10,000.
All right, this says here, we all had to be taken to court for stealing from the people of Oconee. We stole almost $10,000 from you, the people. Perry Smith, David McMahan, Mickey Haney, Matthew Durham, Shannon Baker, Tommy James.
Kathy Littleton, she was questioning about the money being donated or raised.
Is it even money they donated?
Or she was referring to the money that we raised during my tenure.
Okay.
Ian Fitzgerald saying the bank account was $11,000. That's inaccurate. I'm fixing to show you that it's inaccurate.
All right. This is a comment from Ian. It says the party bank account alone has a balance of over $11,000. The judge ordered a judgment of the maximum at the level of $7,500. There are other assets, including the entire contents of a 10 by 20 storage unit, office furniture, and that's the portion of the comment that showed.
Roger Norwood talking about those emails that I allegedly give to
Barry. He says data theft is illegal because it has value. ID thieves are prosecuted when caught for misusing a person's or business email address. Okay.
Let's see. This goes on to, it's not indirectly involved, but that's the main one right there I had circled. That's Jim Mann's wife.
India Lancaster says, did Perry turn over the MailChimp password that McMahan gave him?
McMahan didn't give him no MailChimp password.
Where did they get the MailChimp password?
That MailChimp was established with Ian, what was his last name? Fitzgerald. He's the one that set that thing up. I told people from the start, and I think I told you as well, I'm stupid when it comes to computers. I am.
I'm the same way.
I don't know anything about how to set up a MailChimp account, much less get on it and use it.
Well,
And-
I know that we had issues, and we was all pitching a fit because Perry was using it for his campaign. Our Republican Party, he was using the master list because when we tried to unsubscribe, it would say we would unsubscribe for the OCRP master list.
Well, now I have Drew McKissick sent me the master list, and I was give permission to, if anybody in any precinct wanted to use it to raise money, invite people to barbecues or anything. Sherry Coban, Tomasi precinct president, she asked me for it. I give her every stinking name they was in that Tomasi area. It wasn't that you could not give it out. That comes straight from Columbia.
So Drew McKissick says that you can give it out.
I give it to them to use. He'd give it to me to use as fundraisers, inviting people. It wasn't nothing secret.
Okay.
And that's what's been so confusing to me. It was.
But it's not for campaign purposes.
No, it's not for campaign purposes.
Well, that's exactly what Perry was using it for.
Well, I say campaign uses. If Bill Sandifer wanted to use it for campaign purposes, I guess you get permission, but it don't make any sense. Why would you hide voters' names from people you want voters? Does that make sense?
Well, I understand that, but also from the perspective of the side that is going to be getting the emails bombarded. If I sign up so I can get information from my precinct or from the OCRP that I'm part of, I definitely don't want to be bombarded with everybody who's running for an office that's a Republican. So I see both sides of that as far as logic.
Yeah. Well, for $150, you can get that on the web. You can order that master list.
I've heard that. I ain't got no interest in.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody stole nothing. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, I know that Perry in that meeting, you remember he said Jim Mann gave me that master list. You remember that?
Yeah, you know how Perry is. He likes to. I don't know if he got it from him or not. He was mad, upset. He may have got it from Jim Mann. To this day, I don't know.
Well, I know we've asked Jim. Jim called him out right then. He said, "Perry Smith, you're a liar." So
that's something between
that goes back to word against word.
Yep.
So what we can prove and what we can't prove is different things. This is from my wife Jennifer Moore. Was there any money left? So that's concerning the OCRP accounts.
Yep.
What's the date on that? Does it say? It just says 1 day ago. It just says 1 day ago.
I don't know. They're all kind of similar. Maybe we'll find a date in here.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, and then it goes on to the second page.
All right. Also from my wife, Miss Jennifer Moore. Maybe he used some of the OCRP funds for his professional equipment. I'm not sure what that's referring to.
The only thing I can think that would be, I don't know either, but the only thing I can think of it would be I bought computers and what do you call it? Podcast equipment.
The Oconee Conservative Corner, that equipment.
I give it all to Luke. I give it all to Lewis Collins.
Yeah, he will appreciate being called Luke.
Yeah.
He's been striving.
That's the only thing I can figure out. Jennifer may know. I don't know.
Do you remember what that was about?
Actually, no, I don't. That one I don't.
Okay. All right. Which one's here?
It's
The whole
2 or
thing
3
or-
on there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Comments. Facebook. Ian Fitzgerald. A district director is not an officer at the county party. Lillian Lusk. Deflecting in any way possible to hide their misappropriation of funds. Patricia Murray. Lillian Lusk, you have hit the nail on the head.
I don't know if there's any more on the back or not. It may be.
The same one. It's
Okay.
a double copy.
Sean Tilson, right here.
Sean Tilson says, things that make you go, The amount returned was $2K less than it was under the previous treasurer. Where did the money go? Why did the ousted treasurer close the OCRP bank account that had been in place for 30 years after they were court ordered to turn the funds over? Why would they turn over OCRP funds to the Greenville County Republican Party chairman, state EC, when they were not in the good standing with the state? That ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
Okay. The first question in there that this guy Sean asked was why did they close the OCR bank account?
Yes.
I referred to an attorney because I was getting bombarded with these accusations of me being a thief. That was rubbing me wrong. And the attorney, from his advice, said, close that counter down right now and have a final balance. I did exactly what my attorney told me to do. That's why it was shut down. There's no gossip, no hearsay why I done that. The advice of my attorney.
That advice, to everything I can see, raises a major question, because now the OCRP cannot get back into that to see the ledger of everything.
I got the.
Have you sent the ledger to Jim Mann?
I sent everything to Jim Mann. Everything. He's got everything.
Have the emails?
No, I got hard copies that he got through Mike Voden in Greenville.
From Greenville.
It wasn't just a checkbook that I give to Mike Voden. I give him a stack of paperwork this high, and what other stack of paperwork is put in that storage room down there.
All right. Well, while we're on that does one of the questions in here. Why would you have handed over Oconee assets to Greenville County?
That's a good question. Very good question. Oh, and right here, I know that you might have been hot at me, but you said there was shady stuff.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing shady about what I'm doing.
Here's exactly what I mean by that. This is my comment on more to the story. David McMahan, I'm not calling you a thief. I'm saying shady stuff occurred. You and others did have to be forced by a court to return the people's money to the OCRP. Then you chose to give Oconee money to Greenville Republican Party members. There's never a reason to give one county's money to another county. The fact that it went as far as it did is sad. I'm not going to take you to court, and I'm not spitting on your dad. Spitting on your dad. Is anything I said here a lie? And if so, please explain.
I am begging somebody to take me to court.
What for?
So that I can show all this.
Well, this is just as good then.
Well, maybe.
We can, y'all can share it. The OCC can share it. Everybody can share it. This is public. Everybody who wants to can share this.
I'll start from the beginning about the money, okay?
All right.
I was kicked out on October the 10th. You can show your folks this, but I'm going to show you first so you'll kind of figure out what I'm doing here. October the 12th. Jim Mann writes me, David, let's make this a clean and cordial transfer of OCR information and assets. The OCRP Executive Committee requests the following. And he goes on to, he's wanting, the keys and the storage facilities and all that. Okay, I respond to him on the next day. I agree. Let's make this a clean transfer. I'm out of town on Monday. Is this the first time y'all seen this?
No, I got it today.
Oh, okay. Let's make this a clean transfer. I'm out of town on Monday. It will have to be a later date that accommodates both of us.
Yes.
Is that not reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. October the 18th, he's starting to demand the money on October the 18th. I would appreciate a response to confirm the meeting on October 13th at 3 p.m. at Wells Fargo Bank. It's important to understand I was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee during these dates right here.
May I see that paper?
Sure. Well, let me show you how this works out, and that way you can. Okay. On October the 18th, I called Mickey Haney, who had the checkbook and who had the hold of it. I said, Mickey, Jim's bothering the fool out of me. I'm up here trying to have a good time in Gatlinburg with my family. I said, start preparing to get them everything that they need. Okay. And So Mickey texts Jim, and read that right there.
This is Wednesday, October 19th from Mickey Haney.
The next day after I called him.
Jim, all the items that I have will be transferred on or before the 7th of November. Hopefully by then the OCRP will have elected new officers. If not, I will be mailing them to SCGOP. My schedule will not allow time to transfer the bank account, and I will have to work it in. I will reach out to you when my schedule opens. I will give you no usernames or password because this will allow an individual to use that information in a less than honorable manner. The elected officer will have to create new accounts. I will also need authorization from the county executive committeeman to surrender all items to you. Jim, you have not been elected to the OCRP chair, nor David Dial as the OCRP treasurer. Therefore, you have a pending charge of larceny. I am not comfortable turning these items over to you without the approval of the executive committeeman.
Okay, those last two sentences are very important to keep in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Where he says, I'm not giving it over until you have been elected or someone has been elected the chairman and secretary. You see that in there in that last couple of sentences? All right,
Here's what I wanted a while ago when I said, can I see this paper? This, I would appreciate a response confirming a meeting on Tuesday, October 18th at 3 at the Wells Fargo Bank, Seneca. Thank you.
I wasn't even in this state on October 18th.
That's true. Well, let's see. This here says I will be out of town on Monday, which was the 17th.
Yep.
It will have to be a later date. The next one was the 13th, the same day that you responded. David, okay, then how does Tuesday, October 18th at 3 p.m. work for you? Wells Fargo Bank in Seneca, question mark. Thanks, Jim. There was no response. The next thing he sent, I'm not sure what day it's on because it's cut off here. It said, I would appreciate a response to confirm a meeting on Tuesday, October 18th.
It may be on the front page.
Wells Fargo.
The blocked out part you're talking about.
That was on Friday, October the 14th. So that was before you went out of town.
No, I went out of town that weekend. Thursday was the 10th, correct?
No, Thursday was the 13th.
Okay, the 10th would have been Tuesday. Okay, that weekend I went out of town and stayed for, I don't know, 8 or 9 days.
So on Thursday, October 13th, when he said, David, okay, then how does Tuesday 18th work?
Yeah, and I was out of town Monday, but I didn't.
Right, but you didn't respond.
No, yeah, I did. 18th, on 18th, I responded through Mickey Haney. I called Mickey on the 18th. I said, Mickey, call or text Jim Mann and tell him that we will have the funds available for him. I didn't want Jim Mann to know where I was. I didn't want nobody to know that my house was empty.
Fair enough.
I was mad.
Fair enough.
And so I didn't tell him I was off in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I didn't tell hardly nobody.
Right. Well, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
It's kind of logical, ain't it?
It is. So I just went Canada bear hunting, and I didn't tell nobody till we got back.
All right, so keep those last sentences in mind.
But what I'm wanting to dig into right there before we lose it is that you responded on the 13th. I agree. Let's make this a clean transfer. And then on the 13th, that was at 9:04. At 12:46, the same day, he said, "Okay, then how does Tuesday, October 18th at 3 work for you?" And you didn't respond Thursday or nothing until the 18th.
Yep, because I didn't want to say, I'm out of town, Jim. I'll be back in.
Okay.
But didn't I say I will get together at a later date on the 13th?
Yeah, so when he tried to set up a later date, that's when the no response happened.
Yep. Well, no, there was a response. I called Mickey Haney, and you'll see on the 18th, Mickey Haney responded to him.
Okay, there was a response 5 days later from someone else.
Mickey Haney, yep. Because he had the money, and I was out of town.
Okay.
I didn't want to hear it. I was riding roller coasters with my kids.
I would enjoy the roller coasters too.
Okay. All right, now.
Your email said that you were good and you agreed with a clean transfer,
Mm-hmm.
and you called Mickey and you told him to get the stuff ready for the transfer.
Mm-hmm.
But Mickey's response was that we're not giving this to you.
No, he didn't say I'm not giving it to you.
I mean, that was not a, you know.
He didn't say I'm not giving it to you.
He said the steering committee would have to approve it because he has a larceny charge against him.
Okay, all right. But again, all this is going to make sense when I tell you these last two sentences.
Okay.
All items I have will be transferred on or before 7th November. He did not say I will not give you the money. Right here it is.
So you were removed as chairman. So not from the party, but as chairman on October 10th.
Mhm.
And it's going to be a full 30 days month before
It was about 25 days.
25 days before the OCRP can receive OCRP assets.
Well, again, it's leading back to those two sentences, what you just said.
All right,
So ask me any more questions before I lead you to these last two sentences.
what's the larceny charge?
Larceny charge was Jim Mann and Randy Bond has got my books.
What books?
The chairman's manual books, property of David McMahan, had all my personal logs, my personal journals, contact numbers, personal letters that people had wrote me. And the book, there's one of 46 for every chairman. The party in Columbia sent me that book, had even had my name wrote on it. And on the first thing on the inside, it said, Mr. McMahan, congratulations, you're the chairman. This is your book to help you as a study guide to help your party, blah, blah, blah. It was my book. There was only one in this county, and that was it.
Right. Okay.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So him and Rainey has that.
Yes.
Do you have any proof that him and Rainey has that?
Yes.
Okay.
And don't let me forget this. Very important. These two last sentences.
All right.
I want to show you.
Remember the two last.
Remember that. Everything's going to come together. Okay.
Well, that's exactly what we need. I wish this would have happened a long time ago.
All right. I apologize. What do you want to show?
The proof that Jim Mann and Randy Bond has the books.
Got you. You seriously don't know about this?
What's that?
You seriously don't know about this?
That's right.
Really? Okay. Let's see here.
I know there was a whole lot of Facebook accusations going back and forth, but that's the extent of what I know. I don't know anything factual.
Okay.
And I probably would say, because I know that you said in the very beginning that, I don't know what Jim Mann told y'all, if he lied to us. I think a lot of these things that people were saying on Facebook was because we didn't know anything except that there was some long period of time and there had to be a court, hearings just to have money transferred over. So that's going to make people think things. I don't think anybody had any knowledge of anything. Jim didn't tell us anything.
Well, I had had that book for Gatlinburg for like 2 months before I even knew I was going to be kicked out of the party.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't planned for me to just take off to Gatlinburg right after that.
Right.
We was going to
I'm just
check
trying
out the
explain,
leaves and
that's what
everything.
people were saying. What they were saying is that they were all left in the dark of just knowing that there wasn't a clean transfer, that there was, this had to go on until the 7th, and then there had to be a court date. Nobody knew anything.
All right.
The reason, let me show you about that too. The reason why it was November the 7th, and you can verify this with anybody, Reliable Sprinklers, who Mickey works for. It's a big company. I mean, it's big. They are fixing to do like a multi-million-dollar expansion on the place all last year, and they're just now really getting it revved up. Mickey is a supervisor over there. He was working long hours. That's why he said I can be off that week of first week of November. But how do you ask your boss man, I got to go take off to go give somebody a checkbook when he can be off that first week in November?
Well, I see both sides of that. It's also taking on responsibility when you take on a official position to do duties of an official position.
But we're talking 7 or 8 days here.
Well, that was what, the 18th to the 7th.
Well, I mean,
so
I ain't gonna lose my
days?
job over it. I'll put
20
it that
days.
way. I ain't gonna get in no trouble with the
Well,
boss
tell me
man
this
myself.
honestly. Do you feel like none of it at all was because of spite from either side? Do you feel like it's all coincidence?
You want to take a copy of where I said I want it to be clean?
I got a copy.
Okay, all right. And Mickey said the same thing. But again, don't let me forget those last 2 sentences. Everything you're saying, your jaw's going to drop here in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the sheriff's office report.
All right.
This is stuff in here, but I think I got loose ones I'll show you. Well, matter of fact, I'll show you exactly what the sheriff's office has got. Because everything here is what the sheriff's office has. This is the report. It's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but I can give you the lowdown of what it says right here. This is my statement that I wrote to the sheriff's office. under perjury, I can be arrested if I falsified anything on this thing.
Right.
Would you like for me to read what my statement said? This is
Yeah.
the transcribe of it.
Yeah, go right ahead.
On September the 29th at 6:30 p.m., I, David McMahan, was conducting a meeting at the Ebenezer Community Club on the corner of Flat Creek Road and Ebenezer Road. When the meeting ended around 8:30 p.m., I was packing up my presentation and taking my belongings to my vehicle. I made 2 trips to my vehicle, loading up, and I double-checked the table where my belongings were located and noticed my chairman's manual was white in color with my name on it in bold letters and a black binder missing from the table. I thought to myself, I must have taken the binders to my vehicle during the packing up. The next day in the early afternoon, I started unpacking my belongings from the vehicle to store away and noticed my 2 binders were missing. I started calling some people who were in attendance and asked if anyone had my binders by mistake. No one I made contact with had seen my binders. Over the weekend, a friend called me and sent me a Facebook post where Randy Bond was admitting he had one of my binders and even posted a page out of my binder. This binder I recognized because of the wording on the page he posted. This manual is unique because there are only 46 manuals like this in the state, 1 for each county, and I have the only one in this county. Randy Bond is an associate of Jim Mann, and both were on scene when the incident occurred. I have witnesses who can state that both Randy Bond and Jim Mann were on the scene, as well as Sergeant Barry Owens of the Oconee County Sheriff's Office was providing security. I texted Jim Mann and Randy Bond both in a group text and asked for my property back within 12 hours. Jim Mann responded to the text message and admitted he had my binders, but described them as both black in color, which is not correct. One is white. I asked 3 times for my property back, and he texted me to ask the treasurer to reimburse me, which you cannot reimburse for personal property. That money was the Republican Party's money, not my money to write to a personal check to.
Right.
Jim Mann, at this point, intended to permanently deprive me of my property after he stole my property. I also have personal letters, documents, and notes in both binders with my name on them. After Jim Mann admits he took my binders, and Randy Bond is also in possession of them and putting this on his Facebook, and Randy Bond, a known associate of Jim Mann, can both be put on the scene by an investigator at the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Barry Owens, and others. Jim Mann willfully, permanently deprives me of my property. I wish to pursue charges of larceny on both Jim Mann and Randy Bond. I will provide text message and Facebook posts to verify what I'm saying.
Good.
Now let me make a little footnote right there. Before I asked for a case to be filed, I asked Barry Owens. I said, Barry, will you try to get my books back? I didn't want to go this route to the sheriff's office. He said, sure, David. He caught Barry.
Okay, that's the end of clip number 1. I want to ask you if you want to do any follow-up to anything before we go on to clip number 2.
Yeah, just a quick thing.
Oh, hold on. Okay, there you go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're already jumping ahead.
We're jumping ahead a little bit.
But I do want to clarify there that I should have asked the question about when he was talking about her comment of was the money used for his for his
podcast
equipment, and he mentioned that he bought podcast equipment. I should have asked at that time, what did he buy it with the OCRP funds or with his personal funds? I didn't do that. I will follow up on that. I'll reach out to him and see about that. But that's a follow-up question that I feel like is pretty important.
All right, Jennifer, anything else before we go to clip number 2?
No, not really.
Well,
I think
there's a lot of things here, a lot of things that I want to add at some point that I am totally concerned about, the timelines and stuff. But we're going to go ahead and go on to clip number 2.
I do disagree with, and I did say it on there. It's just that there wasn't. I think he kept insisting that it was a clean transfer, but
We know it wasn't.
You could have emailed him back and just said, "Hey, listen,
Well,
Mickey's going to be in touch with you tomorrow."
I agree
But
with
then
the
Mickey
question
came
is
back.
why did it have to go to Greenville County? Why did all of the stuff have to go to Greenville County?
That comes in a later
Yeah.
clip. He does say why he felt that he needed to send it to Greenville.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to clip number 2.
I said, will you try to get my books back? I didn't want to go this route to the sheriff's office. He said, sure, David. Barry calls me back and said, David, they don't know what you're talking about. I said, okay. So the sheriff calls me the next day, Mike Crenshaw. All this is verifiable. He says, David, he said, let's don't cause a big embarrassing thing with the Republican Party. So let me see if I can get your books back for you. I said, okay, Sheriff. I said, I just want my books back. I've got personal belongings in these books too. And he calls me the next day and said, yeah, Randy Bond don't even know what you talking about, David. And Jim Mann admits he's got 2 binders, but he says he ain't got no white ones. I said, well, Jim, I said, Sheriff, I said, I can assure you it's white, and I can assure you that I can show you the Facebook post.
All right, let's go to that and the text. And while you're pulling those up, I have a question of, is it the OCRP material for the chairman, or is it something they give to the chairman and the chairman keeps it from then
I
on?
gave you that book when we went to the state EC meeting, that they gave us the books, and then
You'll
I
need
came
to-
back and I gave them to you because you couldn't make
No,
that
this one,
meeting.
no, this one was sent direct UPS to me in the mail.
Okay. Well, when you do want to have a point or anything, make sure to come close so that we can pick it up on the mic.
Yeah.
Because I don't want everybody not hearing and having questions.
Yeah, they sent it through the mail.
They sent it through the mail. So is it an OCRP asset or is it a David McMahan asset?
David Matt, every chairman has one. It's just like,
So when you're no longer chairman, does every chairman keep that one and they send a new one out?
yeah, that was my book.
Okay.
And do y'all remember I give 20 or 30 black books at one
Yes.
meeting, everybody? Those all of a sudden became your property. If you've got one, it's your property. I give everybody in there that wanted one.
That was the
Those little black binders.
that was the bylaws, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was the bylaws of like the 017 version,
I think it said 19-20.
19 to 20.
I may be, I don't know.
I know they said that there was a newer version.
Well, see, I never have figured that out because how come I didn't know about a new version?
I don't know, but y'all say I know the whole rule 16 A, B, and C is apparently with the new version, right?
It
And
was
that's what the whole stink was over, right?
it was voted on in Columbia in July of that year, and then 2 months later I was kicked out over that rule.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't want to get. Remind me about my important.
We got 2 lines.
JRB. You'll see that means Jim Mann and Randy Bond.
Okay.
It's a text, like I said in my. I want my manuals back within 12 hours, and in my footnote was asking for my property back.
Right.
Jim Mann.
Yep.
David. 2 black binders were left behind in the building. Not true. Since the majority of CXC members missed out on the training conducted post adjournment, that's when everybody walked out on me.
Mhm.
I'm circulating that info amongst the majority. Let me keep all my stuff together. I don't want to get everything mixed up. And my footnote is here. One was a black binder and the other was a white binder with personal letters and documents and notes, just like my statement.
Right.
Here's my second. I'm asking again, return my property. Now they're trying to divert the topic, saying somebody, I'm sorry, it might be a little bit out of order, but you'll figure it out. They saying somebody peed in the bathroom. I don't know anything about nobody peeing in a bathroom. You know, if somebody did, that was ignorant and stupid, but what's that got to do with me? I mean, I didn't rent the building, he did. I'm asking again, return my property. David, Jim Mann. David, I consider those binders as property of the OCR membership. Right here, he's admitting to it. He's got my books. I consider that, and this is the better thing here. So nobody should be excluded from looking through them. I would never have excluded anybody from looking through my books. But
Okay.
you don't steal from me. All right, here's what really got him. If there's a personal cost associated with them, then just ask Mickey to reimburse you for the expense. Here's my footnote: my personal property. He is permanently depriving me of my property. Petty larceny statute says when you take and carry away someone's property with the intent to permanently deprive them of that property, it is a petty larceny. That's what the state statute says. I've arrested 100 people with that statute. I know it like the back of my hand. All right, here it gets into the meat right here. Let's talk Oconee. From deep in the disgusting OCC jungle and covertly collected by a Chris Ruin loyalist, supposedly while they were doing unsavory things near a woodpile, this one page from the current chairman's manual. Randy Bond that's page from my manual. That is a page from my white manual. There's only 46 manuals in this state. I had one of them. That page is not in the black binders that I give everybody. That page is from my white binder. Chris Ruin and Randy Bond are partners. A Chris Ruin loyalist.
No, that's
while
we're right there on, while we're on that. That's on Let's Talk Oconee.
Yep.
And there are 4, right?
4 what?
Jeff Bright, Kathy, Rainey, Chris, right?
Yes.
And it don't say right there other than Let's Talk Oconee says, so it could be one of the 3, right?
Well, I ain't done.
All right, good. Let's go.
This is on his personal Facebook page. Same thing he said right there. From deep in the disgusting jungle, collected by a Chris Ruin loyalist, clever disguised as a candelabra. I looked that up, and it's a in church when you got a candle with like 10 of them in a row, that's a candelabra. I didn't know what that was. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, there he is on his personal page.
All right, now was this on this personal page, was this before this, or was this shared by him?
Now explain that to me again now.
Did he put this on his page and then it was shared to Let's Talk Oconee, or did he share Let's Talk Oconee's post?
I know that when I was searching, they were both on there at the same time. I don't know if I can actually give you the correct answer. I don't know.
All right, and this is from David Nix.
Yep.
So I think he's a loyal watcher.
Okay, now let me see if I got it in. See if I got it in the right order. Okay. Now this is my theory only. Have you still got the one with Randy Bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You see right there where he said this is the chairman's manual? Right here?
This is one page from the current chairman's manual.
Okay. All right. I think he realized that he might have realized that he confessed to a crime right there. This is my theory. Okay. This is my theory. I'm not. Okay. He changes his story the next day or later on that day because I was watching the Facebook post come on. Actually, this was sent to me by a party chairman of another county that will remain nameless, who is wholly embarrassed by how his colleague is running our party. He later edited the same post, the first one he sent, and I'm putting in my theory, I think he may have realized he just confessed to a crime. Right there is the wording that you will only find in that white binder.
Yep, I'll agree to that. One question I do have here, and my little bit of digging, kind of what I can and can't do.
Okay.
It says here, this is one page from the current chairman's manual, correct?
Yes.
What date was this?
Okay. What is my report, sheriff's office report says?
Incident date 9/29.
Okay, it would have been 2 or 3 days later
All right.
because that's when they started posting that stuff.
When so these were taken on the 29th. Reported at the 10/3.
No,
Right.
I reported on 10/3, but it happened.
It says incident date 9/29.
Okay, that's when it was stolen.
All right.
1, 2, 3 days later is when I started watching these posts. There should be some dates on here.
All right. So,
Okay, right here.
So you were
here's October the 5th.
October the 5th. All right. What we got there?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's got nothing to do with that.
Okay. Well,
No.
well then we'll go back to finish this thought. If this was after October the 10th, if he said this is one page from the current chairman's manual, then that at that point wouldn't be you anymore.
No, that's September. That happened September the when everybody run out on me that night. That's when it happened.
Okay. So this was before you was
Kicked out.
voted out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
happened when everybody run out. All right. India Lancaster's Jim Mann's wife, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are they married, living together?
I
Okay.
reckon they're married. All right. So she shared a screenshot of that same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I don't think this is relevant. It's just that, oh yeah, it is right here. This is just the other half.
Okay. So that's the bottom
the other
part
half
of
of
her
that.
comment.
Yeah.
So India Lancaster shared the comment or the post of that paper.
This is just nothing that's kind of relevant, maybe not, but Jim Mann returned to clean up due to his responsibility for renting the building. Basically, everybody saw him there. He was there. At least 20 people can say he was there.
Right.
But this is the only reason why I did this was because I'm connecting Randy Bond and Chris Ruin together in one of them posts.
Okay.
As a loyalist, as he puts it.
Okay.
All right. Is that all my?
Now that's everything that was in that stack. Now you
Okay.
did say we wanted to go back to those 2 lines.
Yes.
So let's hit that before we
Yes.
lose them.
Okay. Okay. The elected Jim, you have not been elected to the OCRP chair, nor David Dial as the OCRP treasurer. Therefore, with you having a pending charge of larceny, I'm not comfortable turning the items over without the approval of the executive committeeman. Now, this
Okay.
is very important right here.
All right. You want to put this back in your?
Yeah, let me do that. Where'd I do that clip? Thank you. I get my papers mixed up. I'll be up all night trying to figure it out.
There's a lot of them.
Okay, let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything for you.
All right. So what we're establishing right now is evidence that Jim and Rainey
Yep.
have your binders.
Right. So after you saw that we was telling them it will be on or before November the 7th,
On or before November 7th.
because I called Mickey from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and says, Mickey, just send him something because Mickey's I wasn't holding checkbook. Mickey was. And I was saying, let's get together by phone. He can verify it, tell you the same story. By phone, I said, Mickey, let's get this man off our back. Let's get him the stuff. You saw where I said, let's have a clean transfer. I was out of town. He was busy working. 10 days, I'm sorry. But, it's just, I wasn't going to drop what I was doing for the man. I'm sorry, I wasn't.
So some of it, now I'm
I
just
was
being
out of
man to man.
town.
Some of it's just anger at each other in spite.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you something, truth's truth. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was angry. Heck yeah. I was kicked out of a phony rule that was, to this day, nobody can show me evidence that 16C I violated. I didn't do it because I didn't give Perry Smith those emails. I didn't do it. I'm going to shake your hand in front of your camera and tell you I didn't do it.
All right. So,
And I got kicked out, and nobody can tell me that I got Josh Owens. So Josh, what's the evidence you saw that you voted me out for? He hung his head and says, things just wasn't working out, David. I said, Josh. What evidence did you see that I violated Rule 16? It just wasn't working out, David. I said, so you didn't see no evidence either, did you? Well, no. I said, because there wasn't none. You can ask him. I had a little conversation with him. I was kicked out for a bogus charge. Right here. Okay, now the important sentences I was telling you about. Mickey told him on or before November the 7th.
Yep.
Those jokers went and signed the lawsuit on November the 1st. I was just barely getting back into town. I mean, yeah, back into town.
Sworn to me this first day of November 2022. And this is from Tyler Jordan and Jim Mann.
Yep.
All right, so this is on.
That's when they went and filed a lawsuit on me.
Now, I do know from the emails that, because I reached out trying to get all the emails that I could too, and trying to do my homework to learn what I can. So this was done on 11/1/2022. I do know that on the day that Mickey responded, before that, I know that Jim messaged, emailed Drew McKissick telling him the situation or whatever. And when Mickey responded, he also emailed to Mickey and everybody. I see it on the CC, you know, where they tag other people in their emails, saying FYI, I sent this to. So he gave a heads up that he'd already sent it to McKissick at that point, on the 18th.
Yeah, he was.
So this was done on then.
Yeah.
So what other conversation, text messages, anything do you have between anybody to where there was any back and forth between the 18th and this point?
Yes, and that's very important. I'm glad you asked that. So when I got back from Gatlinburg, sometime during that time period right there, I apologize not having the exact date, but I just don't. But anyway, I got back from Gatlinburg. I contacted Grant King, because Grant King is friends with Jim Mann. Grant King will tell you, I respect Jim Mann. So I wanted a go-between.
Right.
So because I said I wanted to do it clean, right?
Right.
In my email, I called Grant King. I said, you're still friends with Jim Mann, right? He says, yeah. He said, I respect y'all both, is what he said to me. Grant King's a man of God. He'll tell you exactly what I'm fixing to tell you. I said, will you be the mediator? I'll give you all the assets, all the money and everything to transition to them when they get their new positions. Okay. And this is very important. When I just said new positions, I'm going to show you something in the court. He said, sure, David. He said, I'll call him right now. So I was working up at the church. Septic tank was bad. I remember it like it was yesterday. And he said, he called me back. And he says, Jim Mann said he wants $11,000 and some odd dollars. I said, what? He's wanting 11,000. Seemed like it was 11,300, 11,500. It was 11,000 something. And I said, there isn't 11,500. I'm going to use 500. 11,500 in the bank. There's 10,000 and some odd dollars in the bank. He said, let me call him back and tell him. And he said, he called me back about 10 minutes later and says, nope, he wants $11,500. I said, you tell Jim Mann, just see me in court then. Because there ain't no $11,500. It's 10,000 and some odd dollars. I got it right there. And so that, but then they'd already had me lined up to go to court. Didn't know about it.
So
Wanting something that wasn't there.
So I know what you're going to get to with the court thing, because it says they have to elect a chairman and a thing. Because I've studied up on that.
Yeah, that's what the court ordered.
Yep. What day were they elected in? Do you remember?
It was. Am I telling you right? December? I don't know. I give up on everybody. I didn't want.
I think it was in December.
See, I didn't even want to. I was so mad and aggravated. I didn't care at the time, you know.
Yeah. So it honestly appears that a whole lot of this is childish pecker swinging contest.
Well, no, it's pretty much people calling me a thief.
Well,
it
started that way, and then it's morphed into more than that. It's like, I'm mad at you. I ain't gonna do this, and you're mad at me, and you ain't gonna do that.
Well, I wasn't gonna leave Gatlinburg, come down there to give him a checkbook.
No, I understand that. But if he was good to give it on or before November 7th, even if it went to court, they should have been on it.
Because you're saying that you weren't going to give it to him until there was a new chairman.
Which happened on the 21st is when that was said, right? That's when the court date was.
Well, this will explain a lot. Read the highlighted down there.
To be released,
from the judge.
Personal property to be released to a good standing member of the South Carolina Republican Party Executive Committee. to be held at such time as the Oconee County Republican Party elects or has in place a full board, especially a chairman and treasurer, for the receipt of these items. So that brings me right back to my point. Y'all was willing to hand it over. This happened on the 21st, but you was willing to hand it over on or before the 7th.
Yes.
So there's a 2-week window between those two numbers.
Yes.
And you said you was willing to give it to Grant Keene.
Yes.
But all Oconee stuff went to Greenville instead.
And I explain that because I want you to put yourself in my shoes. Luke, you're the chairman now. I mean, you're in my shoes now.
Okay.
When 16 to 18 people down there is throwing charges at you that is baloney, and they're already talking that I'm thieving and I'm misappropriating funds like Lillian Luss said right there, would you have given the checkbook to those 16 people who would love to have figured out some way to change a zero here and there? I wasn't going to set myself up.
Well, here's what I would have done, and since you're asking me, what I would have done is not close that bank account because there's a record of every penny spent.
Yes.
So I would have not done that, and I would have had a video of me handing everything over, time, date, stamp, all that. So then anything that's tried will show that it happened from that point on after it was handed over. And there would be a record of what happened with everything up to that point. But what happened now is one side is blind to what happened and we had to just trust, and the other side is mad and pointing. I mean, y'all are pointing at each other, both of you.
I did everything you said to do right there.
You handed it over.
I handed it over. Mike
without
Bowden,
shutting it down.
No, I did shut the
That's not what I said. I said I wouldn't shut it down. I said I would hand that over.
I was going by the
with a
advice of
video.
my attorney.
I'd be looking at a different attorney on that one. But
Well,
that's me. You asked me what I would do.
What if a check would have been all of a sudden missing after that?
It would.
That's why my attorney said, you shut it down, nobody can use it until they.
That means that you got a checkbook, right? And you had that ledger.
Yep.
So you're asking, what if somebody tampered with that ledger?
Mm-hmm.
The electronic side of it in the bank would say, okay, this check came through after on such and such date. Now, if you got your checks all wrote in order and none of them voided, they're going to be accounted for. They're going to go right through. That bank's going to account for them, each one.
Well,
so you can't make a duplicate check.
You know, you and I have a difference of opinion on that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, after I had been accused of stuff that I didn't do, in my mind is like, what is my next accusation going to be?
Okay, well, can I cut in? I'll look him over there.
Yeah.
Okay, only because you said that we're all stuck in the 16C. Oh my God, 16B, C, whatever it was that came on there. The September 15th meeting, the reason that we had this meeting, if I can go over the motion that was to remove you, it wasn't just about that 16, Rule 16.
Go ahead and read it
The
off.
first one, the motion was, I move that by a rising vote, this executive committee calls for the immediate resignation of David McMahan as OCRP chairman for the following 4 reasons that this had nothing to do with it. Number 1 was the repeated use of intimidating and threatening communications directed at the steering committee officers and others. Number 2 was effectively coordinating an OCC boycott of the July 30th, 2022 state GOP convention. Number 3, recent covert actions to harass OCRP Treasurer David Dial and unjustly remove Teresa Sills from her role as District 1 Director on August 23rd. Number 4, conspiring with OCC leaders to undermine the work of the steering committee and nullify the progress achieved by the post-conflict reconciliation committee to unify the Republicans in Oconee County.
Okay, since you brought it up, Jennifer, let's go one by one. Give me the first one.
Here, I'll give it to you. Just want to make sure I put it on there, but
It's small writing. Can you see it?
Oh, this must be y'all's copy.
Yeah. You want me to read it to you?
no, it's just.
Wait a minute, I've got a bigger.
It's from the agenda from.
I've got it in larger print right here.
All right, good.
I didn't bring my glasses with me.
Well, if you need me to, I'll read it. And we'll go on.
Yeah,
one by
just read
one.
it. Just read it to me. Yeah.
Number 1, repeated use of intimidating and threatening communications directed at steering committee officers and others.
Please give me an example because I'm lost.
Okay. I can't give you an example of that one. What I can do is point out the craziness on our email chains. Remember when I said, David, this is your circus, and these are your monkeys, get them in line or get out of the way and let somebody do it at the wheel?
If you said you done it, there was so many.
It was when Perry was just raising sand and we was trying to approve minutes, and he was on there, and it was like 31 emails, I believe. So I've got them all. I can post them all. But he was absolutely going off, and him and Randy Bond back and forth to each other, just being absolutely childish. And I called for you as chairman, because you was on the thread and you was communicating on that thread too, to step in and be the chairman, be the daddy in the room, and tell them, hey, it's enough. But you didn't. That's the only time you allowed it to happen. That's the only time I can say about that.
Well, now, if you'd like to talk to Perry, and he will verify that I did ask him to calm it down. Now, whether he did or didn't, which he didn't, Perry gets mad. I mean, he gets mad, and he feels like he's right about some things. And I have said it from day one. I am a big defender of freedom of speech. I am. I believe you should say what you want to say, as long as it's the truth. I believe I should say what I want to say, as long as it's the truth. And nobody should be shut down because of it. That's how I feel.
But they can use decorum. I mean, you're on an OCRP thread. This isn't Facebook. This was something that's supposed to be.
We'll get down to that on number 4. We'll get down to that on number 4.
But please, yeah, if you got some information on that number 1 one, please tell me.
I do have those emails, and so we can.
But now I'm talking about, those are accusations towards me. It ain't Perry Smith. It says towards me.
That's right. I think a lot of this is my opinion. You and Matt Durham are the founders, the main two that put together the OCC. We all met up there at Backstreet Burgers. That was the first meeting, right?
Yep.
I was called in right from the get-go to help. I mean, I was there too. So I was there to see a lot of it. You know, you're still Sergeant at Arms, correct?
No, that's another.
When did you become no longer have anything to do with OCC? Yeah, they posted it on their site that you're Sergeant at Arms.
I am Sergeant John Morey's wife. What's her name?
Lynn
Morey. She's the one that posted that stuff. I'm what you call an honorary member. That's my title as an OCC.
It's on the OCC Facebook site that it lists president, vice president.
The OCC
Well, now they've done some changes though since then. I don't know, but I'm an honorary member or something like that right now. That's my official title.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll come right on down through here for that. But that's a lot of what that is, and number 4 will cover it. So we'll wait till we get there to cover that. But number 2, effectively coordinating an OCC boycott of the July 30th state GOP convention. I don't know anything about that.
I don't either. The thing that made me mad was that 16C. Those are all lies right there.
Okay.
But the thing that really tore me up was that darn Drew McKissick persuaded, I guess, y'all that I done that 16C. See, I'm mad plumb to Columbia.
16C, the 16C thing. See, I spoke with Drew McKissick too, because there's so much back and forth of who has say, who has authority, what's the truth. Because our paperwork showed that the chairman has the final interpretation of all bylaws, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it said something and the chairman don't feel like that's what he wants it to say, he can say, I have final interpretation. He could change that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an unfortunate authority that they was given. So,
but it didn't apply to me. Remember, the rules only applied to me in certain situations, but other situations it wouldn't.
The rules should all apply to you evenly.
They wouldn't.
So, let's see. Which one's this one? Okay.
That one's for number 4.
This is for number 4. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yes,
answer your question for number 3, I'd love to see the evidence on that too.
Okay.
Because there is none.
The Rule 16C, with you being co-founder with Matt, the OCC's y'all's baby. The OCC put up Perry because the OCC asked me first to run against Bill Sandifer. I told him I can't live on no $30,000 a year. I don't know any working man that can. You either got to already have money or you got to be retired and getting money. There ain't none of us that needs our weekly wages that can go and work for that price and make a living and keep our stuff, keep our house, keep our car.
But it should have been flattering to you that they asked you that.
They asked me that before me and Matt got into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the OCC then picked Perry. With you being the founder of the OCC and the chairman.
Well, now let me stop you right there. We didn't pick Perry. Perry decided to do that. No, we didn't pick no Perry. We don't say you're going to do this and you're going to do that. I'll shake your hand. That's the truth.
I'll believe you on it. So
he decided.
So he decided. At that point, you know that he is breaking that rule. Because I come to you and I talk to you about it. I said he's breaking rule 16. Like you got the authority to change the rule. You can change the rule if you don't like it. You can have the ECs vote on changing the rule, right?
Yep.
But instead of doing that, they just went on with it. And and they live pretty close.
Okay, there you go. That was clip number 2 here as we're presenting a special edition of Let's Talk Oconee along with Luke and Jennifer Moore. Real quickly, in the comment that you were talking about David and his association with the OCC, we actually went and pulled it up. So let me hold on just a second. I'm trying to do 3,000 things at once. Let me pull this up here and I will share this. This is his bio that's actually on the page. But according to the latest, and this is the update from the website, he is actually board of directors. That is an update there. I'm highlighting it right there for you. But he was a founding member of the OCC. So there's your list of founding members there. So you want to comment on anything about clip number 2?
I do. One thing that's mentioned in there is, I believe, the email chain and the craziness that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not able to comment and show that email chain, but I have it here, so we'll post it in the comments
What
on
was
more
David's
to the story.
response?
Is that you're talking about the comments but back and forth between Perry and Rainey and all of that earlier in the clip?
This was all on, yes, and this was all on an OCRP chat where we were trying to approve minutes.
That was it.
And so this is where everything actually blew up. So we're trying to just do the minutes, and this is on 10/1/22, and it's back and forth. Right here we got Perry starts attacking Nix.
Well, we know that it went south.
It went
and
south.
David claims that he tried to stop
He
it.
claims that he tried to stop it. So it goes several times back and forth, and then McMahan's email is, folks, you've got to hand it to Rainey Bond. I watched his video with his Democrat friend, and for once, he told the truth and exposed what my opposition's motives are and how they feel about my people, the common man and woman. Rainey confirmed what we've all been saying all along, and what did I hear him say about abortion? Thanks, Rainey. So he was watching this play out, and this is one of the things, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I asked him why he didn't stop it. My comment to him was this. This is my email to him on that same chain.
Mm-hmm.
David McMahan should put an end to this nonsense. This is not what this email thread is for. I disagree 100% with what was said, but that can be discussed on the proper channels, not here. Grow up, be men. I told David this morning, and I'll tell everyone now. I'm tired of y'all continuing this pecker swinging contest. You have personal issues with someone, then grow a set and go see them. Nobody is interested in this 5th grade drama. Bunch of keyboard warriors. We're supposed to be doing right by Oconee, but we're failing because of being like this. Look at yourselves. Pick a better place and audience. We need to beat Democrats, but we've made ourselves out to be clowns and have turned off half the county. Thank yourselves in a few months when the Democrats win. Play chess, not checkers, people. Can't you see that if half vote Perry and half vote Sanford, the Democrats will win? And that couldn't have happened because a Democrat wasn't running.
Right.
But the reason for the rule that all this is swarmed around is so that the Republican votes, once a nominee is chosen, are not divided so that the Democrats can win with a much lesser number.
Well, I want to clarify something too. Is that number one? Going back to this, Bill Sanford was the duly designated Republican nominee for the Republican going into the election.
Right.
Okay, there was really no one challenging him on the Democratic side.
Right.
And it's pretty clear, as David being chairman, that it's up to him. He won. He's supposed to support that candidate that was to run.
That's what the rules say.
And that's what the rules say. So that's where kind of things went south. And when David was kind of, with the rule and stuff, that's where things are going with this.
Right.
That there's pictures, of the support and all of this, that, and the other. That's where a lot of this issue has come from. But I want to go back even further. November of that year, in 2022, David quoted in the Seneca Journal that he has failed as a leader. That's his comments. He said that to the Seneca Journal, because then he went into a tat about doing this censor of the 3 county councilmen, and it went downhill from there. But he's made the statement to the Seneca Journal that he had lost the support that he needed.
Yes, and
I think he also said that he was still the chairman, and it was also listed on the site. Like, they never changed Jim Mann's name, because Perry would put that up there.
Well, there was an issue with the website, period. I think the current leadership had to go get their own website and a new URL, if I'm not mistaken. They had to change everything.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the state website.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That it had it on there, but they kept calling Jim illegitimate, and they were saying that the real chairman is David McMahan.
Well, there's
And
a
that
lot
went on for
of
months.
there's a lot of questions that I would like to ask at some point, because I still have a bunch of questions here. There's still things that don't make sense that we've seen, and even some of the news articles in the paper don't match what we're hearing right now. I mean, we're talking the Seneca Journal report. We're talking Riley Morningstar. Some of the stuff that he has posted, or not posted, but has reported as news articles, is not matching what's being said. Right. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, because I'm going back to January, following the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the common denominator in everything that has happened with the OCC is one person, and that is Perry Smith. I want to phrase that. If David wants to blame anybody for knocking him out as chairman, you got to go back to the source. And he's the one person that has created the hate and the strife between everybody.
See, now here's where we feel a little differently on that. And Jennifer states it way more often, and I think she's right, that Perry is the face of what you're seeing going with that, but Perry's also appointed. Perry is allowed.
He's used
to
as a
attack
tool.
certain things. He is told where to go, what to do, when to rein it in. So even though he's the one that you physically see doing all that, he is not the one who chooses his target, really. He does occasionally, like if it's just one of us, but
So then the question is, whose is it? Does it still go to the top?
it does.
Even David's was being used.
But even this, where we was trying to, I was like, you know, you are the one, you're in charge of this. And the rest of that email right there says, this is why the rules are against what is happening. And that's talking about Perry running while he's holding the seat against the duly elected nominee. I said, David, this is your circus and these are your monkeys. Take control or get out of another man's way who will.
Who said that?
I
now?
said it.
Okay, right,
in
right,
the email.
right.
I said, unify or leave. Unify us all behind the platform and the rules. Because it don't matter which side we're on. If we can't follow our own rules, then we don't need to be trying to lead whatever that we're breaking the rules of on purpose.
Okay.
You're the chairman, and this is an EC thread email chain about adopting minutes, and you're giving the go-ahead, like, way to go, Rainey and Perry, and do the whole I mean, instead of, you're the chairman.
So we will post those
Okay.
those screenshots
All right.
on more to the story, but we need to go on to the next one.
Okay. Sean Post, I was a founding member of the OCC, and I'm now a member of the Board of Defectors. All right, let's go on to clip number 3. Again, this is an interview that Luke conducted along with Jennifer last night with former chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party, and that is Mr. David McMahan. So let's go ahead and go to clip number 3.
All knew it. I said, you're breaking the rule on purpose. And he said, I know, but we can go get a waiver, which would make it not breaking Rule 16C. Because the rule, so everybody knows, the rule says if there's a primary, whoever wins that primary, the party will back that individual. If somebody else wants to run, they cannot hold a party seat at the same time they run against the duly elected nominee, right?
That's right.
Okay. So
That's after
So
the
all
primary.
that had to happen. All that had to happen was Perry say, I'm not going to be precinct president. I'm running against Sandifer. And he'd have been perfectly fine and no rules would have been broken, right?
Yeah. That's the rules, but those rules don't apply in the state and national levels. But you're right. The rules was there. If you will notice, I don't know if it's in any emails or not, but Perry can verify this. I asked him to go ahead and resign from the Oakway presidency to make sure that everything was above and board. And I remember it was some kind of a email or something put out. That's fact right there.
Yeah, he done it, I think, the day that you got voted out. It was right then. when he finally did resign his
I
seat.
can't tell you exact date. I'm not sure.
But I had the meeting with Lewis, and this was way before, with Lewis and Roel, who is now the president of the OCC. And I said, y'all are purposefully breaking this rule. And he said, I know, but, we can go and get a waiver. I was like, you can't go get a waiver to break a rule after you broke it. You got to go get the waiver before so you don't break it. Or you change the rules so that if you got the percentage of people says we don't agree with this rule, we want to change it, then it's not an issue anyway. But you can't be the leader of a party and not follow the rules of the party that you're leading. You can't have your own stuff that you're in charge of and not follow your own rules. You can change your own rules so that you feel better about them, but you can't just say, I'm going to ignore them on purpose and then keep going, which is what happened.
Okay. Well, now I'll take blame where I need to, but not being tit for tat, but that wasn't the same rule towards me though.
What do you mean?
Like, for example, the steering committee. The steering committee is an investigative arm of the Republican Party, like it is in other states.
Okay.
There was some discrepancies. I believe wasn't I accused of Rule 2A of the party in there too? That may be the other. Well, there's another one in there. I was accused of Rule 2A.
I don't even know
The executive committee started doing away, as you remember, they started ignoring the county bylaws. Remember?
And following just state.
Following just state. Remember when that was going on?
I wasn't part of the steering committee.
No, I'm talking about during our big meetings. Remember, that night that my books got stole, I had all those, y'all left. Y'all didn't get to see the thing.
I asked you at that table while we're right there, just to make it clear. I come to your table. You remember I said, if you will tell me that we're going to follow this agenda that you made and you're not going to throw any surprise votes in here, then I'll stay and I'll listen to whatever you have to say. And David Nix leaned over to you and told we need to go on. And you leaned back, and that was that. And that's what
I also said, Luke, why are you doing this to me? You remember?
Mm-hmm. But I wasn't doing it to you. I was saying, if you're going to not try to be throwing some surprise on me, if this is legitimately what it is, let's do it. But if it's not this and you're trying to underhandedly sneak something in, I'm going to leave. But you wouldn't do it. I mean, we're right here face to face.
Yeah.
There ain't no line between us. We both.
No.
This is what happened. All we had to do was adopt. I said, if you'll adopt the agenda that you made, I will stay and listen to everything you have to say. But you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't adopt your own agenda.
You have to show it to me because I'm a little confused. I'm sorry.
Well, this is the conversation me and you had at the table before I left, because I went to leave. I come back in and I sat down, and they said, I'm not here. I'm just here to listen and learn. And they said, you can't. They said, count them anyways. They said, count them anyways.
Count the what?
Count me as president as an EC in the roll call when I said I'm just here to listen and learn, because if you got something to say, I'll listen and learn. But if you're gonna throw a vote on me last second trying to make something happen like a war strategy.
Well, did you vote? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
I left. I left because I come to your table and I said, if you will adopt this agenda that you've made so that I know I'm not going to be forced into doing something that I don't have time to ask my precinct about, I'll stay and listen to whatever you got to say. But if you're going to make me vote on something that I ain't had time to ask the people about, I'm not going to do it. And that's when David Nix leaned over and told you to go on basically without me. And so we left.
That was September the 15th, right?
That was October. No, that was in September. Yeah, that was in September.
This is the meeting minutes right here. Explain to me what I done wrong.
Well, see, the meeting didn't happen the way you wanted it to after we left. Your and my text conversation says, I said, well, what's the bombshell you was going to drop? You said, well, I changed and I didn't drop the bombshell because of such and such and such and such. So the fact that you was telling me there's going to be a bombshell, you're going to drop, your jaw's going to drop. We're going to do this. That's when I said, I don't know what this is going to be. So if you'll adopt your agenda,
the
agenda and the minutes are two different things.
I'll tell you what the bombshell was. I was getting not letters, but I got a phone call from Drew McKissick, who told me that I was going to be removed well before this ever happened.
A phone call? You got any kind of text? You got anything?
if Drew McKiss is any kind of a man of honor, call him and ask him if he didn't call me.
We'll call and ask Drew McKiss. We'll do it in an email.
Do
We'll
it.
do it in an email.
Do it. And ask him about me and him getting into a heck of a fuss over the phone. I told him, I said, if you're gonna move anybody, you won't be the man to do it. It was bad conversation.
Okay. We will look into that.
Do it, call him.
All right, let's go number 3 right here. Recent covert actions to harass OCRP Treasurer David Dial and unjustly remove Teresa Seals from her role as District 1 Director on August 23rd.
Okay. David Dial, I found out him and remember a guy named, and he may still be in the Republican Party, Mike
Tarner?
I
know Tarner.
and Jim Mann was meeting at that beer joint in Bountyland and having their meetings and talking about me. I know it for a fact.
Okay, what committee are they?
David Dial was on the steering committee. Jim Mann was on the steering committee. Mark Turner was on the steering committee. That's a quorum.
So they had a quorum
Yes.
and they were discussing business.
Yes,
At a beer.
David Dial. I can't find the email right now, but I read it. I think David Nix has got it recorded where he admitted he was at the beer joint and they were discussing business about me.
If you can get that from Nix and send it to me, we'll post that. We'll post that too. Because
Well,
like I said, wherever the facts are is where they are.
Okay. And just so you'll know, I've got my facts and I'm not sitting here saying that's fact, but I did see it, but I have not got it here to show you. So I'm not sitting here swearing to God. Okay.
Well, send it on to me when you can get your hands on it from Nix.
So I got pissed off like any logical person would. I said, why y'all having little meetings and beer joints about me? That's when he got all scruffed up. You know how he's a hot-headed. He got all scruffed up. And then he said I threatened him in a parking lot in a bank. I went up to him.
I hadn't heard about it.
Oh, you didn't hear about that either?
You say, yeah, we did?
It was in his interview.
Yeah.
In a parking lot in the bank.
Yeah.
I had to go back and watch the video. I don't remember it.
When you fired him.
Yeah. See,
I thought that was by text.
no, it was out there in the parking lot.
Okay. My memory's not the best all the time.
Do I not have a right as the chairman to question what people under me are doing? David Dial wasn't appointed by me. He wasn't elected. There's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
When you're elected, the bylaws say that you pretty much can't be kicked out until the next election cycle. I think all of y'all have read that and seen that. But those rules changed. The state rules changed in July 21 and started that 16C started conflicting with what our county bylaws have said. And y'all wasn't there when I got September the 15th. Y'all left. But I kept saying to the remaining people, if y'all want to change the county bylaws, please. Well, I think, didn't know, what's his name, Jazzy Jeff, didn't he stay and record it? Somebody was recording it. Steve Hagerman.
Was it him?
That was the October meeting. That was October. I was out.
I said, if y'all want to change the thing, and I even said, ladies and gentlemen, somebody's got it recorded somewhere. I know.
Yeah,
I said, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all don't like these county rules, I said, please change them. I said that. I said it publicly. Please change it, because if you do change it, I'm running I'm running every day getting copies made. I'm running every day checking the mails. I'm running the Fairview Church we met all that whole year. OCRP wasn't charged a dime. And Jim Mann to get up there and say that I hadn't contributed anything to the OCRP, that pissed me off.
Okay, so
That's
you
not
had
true.
in-lot contributions through
Yes.
a building.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, but I'm sorry I got off on the David Dial thing.
that's all right.
But
And Teresa, what happened with Teresa?
Teresa, okay. Did y'all hear about I got censored at Stamp Creek? Okay. Jim Mann called me at about 4:30 or 5 when we were going to have a steering committee meeting that afternoon. He called me. I was working. He said, meet me at Ingalls. I got at Ingalls at 5:30 in West Union, and David Dial was with him. I said, what's up, guys? Because we're going to have a steering committee meeting in about another half an hour. Why do you want to meet me at Ingalls? We got something we want to show you. Oh, let's see. I got it right here somewhere. You knew they censored me, right?
Yeah, I heard they censored you. I don't know that I ever seen the censure, but I heard that they did. So is this the censure here?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to read this real quick.
Okay.
Dear Chairman McMahan, the OCRP officers of the Stamp Creek Precinct, having observed your divisive and harmful behavior to the Republican Party, are issuing this letter of censure. You violated OCRP Bylaw 5CC for publicly endorsing an opponent of a Republican candidate. You have also violated OCRP Bylaw 7E for supporting a candidate in contested primary as OCRP Chairman. The evidence of this are found on the Facebook video of June 12th, June 2022, and the Journal Upstate Today article of 14 June 2022, where you endorsed Kay Knapp, by inference disparaged John Elliott, both Republican candidates for the Oconee County Council. The disparaging of John Elliott appears twofold. One, because John voted against the first version of the county Right to Life resolution. Later, with revision, John voted in favor. You should be celebrating John's final vote, not continuing to criticize him. Secondly, you often pit lake people against mountain people, for example, claiming John is only for the lake people. You need to understand we are all conservative Republicans and vote that way. Other examples of your divisiveness are words to the Journal Upstate Today in a 1 March 2022 article concerning the OCRM. You are quoted calling a group a rebellion and never wanting unity. This is untrue and damaging to the party. Recently, when Governor McMaster visited Oconee County, you failed to invite Wally Sparks, a Republican candidate running for State House District 1. However, you did invite Bill Whitmire, his opponent, again, violating OCRP Bylaw 7E.
Okay. That when the governor came to Walhalla, it was not a campaign speech. He was coming up. Now it was him a campaign speech. Okay, he was there, but he was a duly elected governor. Bill Whitmire came and made a speech. He is a duly elected, serving a term. Mike Crenshaw made a speech. Y'all was there, wasn't you? Did y'all come?
If it was Henry McMaster, I don't think I was there for that one.
Mike Crenshaw made a speech. He was the current sheriff duly elected. Wally Sparks was running for an office. He wasn't invited to make a speech because it wasn't about campaigning. Jim Mann, no, not Jim Mann. Who was the other guy that was running that year? There was 3 or 4 municipal things going on. There was a bunch of campaigning people.
So basically,
these were
you got
duly
the
elected.
seat holders.
The seat holders made the speech. The duly elected, currently running people made the speech.
Okay.
It wasn't about debates and campaigns against each other. So that's a false right there. And I got a long history about working people, getting the shaft on a lot of things, and I know a lot about this county and the history of it. My dad lost 200 acres because the lake backed up over it. And they lied about where the lake shore was going to be. And that's why you see no old families have property on Lake Kiwi, because they were told the lake shore was going to be right there, but it wasn't. It was way down there. That's why you don't see old family farms and old family people holding on to the property on the lake, because that's what they done. I can prove that. Nothing I'm telling you I can't prove. But anyway, that's another whole story. But getting back to...
agree with that the OCC and the OCRP is like pitting lake people against everybody else, like making the lake people like demons?
Jennifer, for the past 25 years, the Republican Party has had all their meetings and everything in Kiwi Key. I'm gonna say the regular folks, okay? I'm a regular guy. The regular folks felt intimidated to go up to a guard shack and say, can I want to come to a meeting. Well, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. Because I know what I'm talking about again, because I ran for county council in 1998. I ran as a Republican for District 1, same seat John Elliott holds right now. My wife and I were treated like Russians or something. We were put over in a corner. Nobody would talk to us. They just didn't want to have nothing to do with us. And Bob Manka, who was the Stamp Creek Precinct in 1998, I said, Mr. Manka, why are you giving these white tablecloth dinners to my opponent, and they raised over $10,000 for him. And I said, how come I'm not getting? Again, they're not supposed to show favoritism, right?
Right.
He said, David, we are not supporting you. We don't want you in here. And I said, well, I knew that. I mean, I think I had a few choice words back at him. I was a little bit spry back then. I didn't like nobody hollering at me. And I had a few words back with him. I said, well, I am a Republican running for this office. I should be treated the same. He said, we do not support you, David. Okay, so, but that was back then when rules didn't matter back then. For 20 years, that's how they've ran things. When I come in, why did 400 people lock down the place? They were wanting change.
Well, they did, but I mean, I'm going to say, I mean, from looking back on it now, I mean, I was part of that, you know, when I was in vice chair. I mean, some of these people, they're not like that. I mean, they weren't trying to keep everybody out. I just think that it was something that was told to us, and then we had to, you know, believe that. I mean, like Bill Jerome and Pat Murray and all them, they're not like bad people. And I think that I definitely agreed that they needed to branch out. And that's exactly what I told Pat. I had no idea why we were running against them, but they should have. We did fill all those precincts, and we got a lot more people involved.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's the downside.
that was the only downside that I think. I don't think they were trying to keep everybody out by keeping it at Kiwi Key.
They just wasn't giving it an honest effort, in our opinion. They should have been trying harder to get the precincts.
Because they
organized,
still
'cause we
wanted to
didn't
be a
find
part of it
anything
once we were elected, and they still wanted to be a part of it. And I think that now you can see, I mean, I don't think that everything's a conspiracy and a coup to try to take down people.
Yeah, but Jennifer, they was scoffing me right from the get-go. And look at Carrie Unsworth.
Well, wouldn't that
She-
be spiteful
7
too?
months
Just like
later-
you're spiteful with Jim?
I'm not spiteful. I'm
Well,
showing
not
y'all
spiteful. I'm
stuff
just
here.
saying that
This
it's
is not
just a little
spiteful.
bit- It's just, but it's the same.
I think it went to the extent it did because of spite. I think there's legitimate stuff here and there. And, I mean, I definitely do think it definitely started out legitimate too.
How many times did I say I want unity? I know I said it 10 times.
Yes.
A lot of times, but as you can see with the OCC, there's two factions.
Well,
There is two factions. I mean, I've been on both sides of the fence. I see both sides.
the OCC
and
is not going to compromise with abortion. We're
Right.
not going to compromise with the southern border.
Right?
We're not going-
OCRP.
What now?
Is the
She says the OCC, the OCRP.
No, but there was members of the OCC and the OCRP.
They still
There
are.
was many.
There still are, and there should
Well,
be,
I mean,
and there should be.
somebody goes to this church, but yet they're a Shriner or a Mason or a Sertoma Club member. I mean, you can be what you want to be.
That's true. But since you brought that abortion stuff up, Dave Nix has went on the Journal and posted saying that I'm in favor of abortion. I'm against abortion more than he is. He says that he's in favor of it in certain situations. I'm not.
Well, I would love for you to get on there on that Let's Talk Oconee show and you straighten them out.
Straighten out Dave Nix.
No.
That's who I said,
Randy
said that
Bond.
about me.
No, I'm saying you against abortion. Let
I'm
Randy
against-
Bond that's wrong. And
I
let
told him all that's
that
wrong.
Kathy girl know it's wrong. And
I
let
let
that
them all
Rick,
know it's wrong.
that ruin guy.
My opinion on it is that
We just do it. We tell them it's wrong.
my opinion on it is that abortion shouldn't exist. Now, they're going to say, well, there's situations where the mother's life is in danger. And here's my answer to that. Try your best to deliver the baby and see if you can make it live. Don't just go first thing as trying to kill it. Try to make it live. If it don't live, you did your best. If it does live, you gained a soul.
Well,
That's my opinion on it. I don't think that abortion should be, birth control, which it's mostly used for.
that's right. Well, let me
But
before
Dave Nix, OCC leadership, gets on there and says that I am simply because I talked to the people on Let's Talk Oconee.
Well, let me finish your last question about the all those allegations against me about
Okay.
What's her name? Gosh,
Teresa Seals.
Teresa Seals.
Yeah, y'all was friends for
30
ever.
years. 30 years.
You had a lot of people around you that was friends because they're appointed. A lot of people around you. that you've been
Because
friends
I
with.
thought I could trust them.
Yeah, but do you think that when
When I say me and Teresa was friends, we've known each other since high school. We've never had a crossword with each other.
right?
But for your last question right there,
Yeah.
Before I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just trying to not lose my train of thought.
Go ahead.
I brought up the Stamp Creek thing.
Yes.
Jim wanted me to meet him in Ingalls, right? Okay. He said, David, he said, the Stamp Creek has done this to you, and I want you to take it just like as if you were getting a speeding ticket from a highway patrolman. David Dial was sitting right there, and he heard this. And David Dial interjected, said, yeah, just take it like a speeding ticket. I said, I'm not going to take it like a speeding ticket. I said, Wally Sparks was not invited because he's not a duly elected person. I said, this is wrong. He said, no, David. And Jim says, no, David, just go ahead and take it. Teresa, I called her next day or two, and I said, I cannot believe this is what's going on. And she said, well, they had to revise it one time. I said, what? Who had to revise that sentence? She said, well, Jim and them knew about it, and they had to change some words. I said, Jim Man knew about it? Well, yeah. I said, how could you do this to me, Teresa? I said, how come you didn't tell me about this? Well, David, you got to kill them with kindness. That was her exact words. I said, they're killing the hell out of me. What do you mean killing somebody with kindness? I got mad at Teresa and I fired her. You daggum right I did. And I don't regret it one bit.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. We're gonna get really long on this too. So I want to hit a few hot topics if I can.
Okay.
And we'll go on right on through with this.
All right.
You said the steering committee is a investigative arm.
Yep.
You're the head of the steering committee, correct? Or was?
No, I just there to chair it.
I was there to chair it.
Yeah,
though.
I don't.
But either you had to be there or the vice chair had to be there to chair it, right?
Or you can say, hey, will y'all handle the meeting tonight? As long as there's a quorum. You know, if there's not a quorum, then they don't meet.
But for a legitimate meeting, there has to be minutes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yes. Where was the meeting where they investigated me where I live to throw me out of South Union Precinct? That would have had to happen before the night you was voted out. So we can't say that it was that night, because for an investigation to happen, if they supposedly met that night and kicked me out, the investigation would have had to happen previous. When did y'all tell the steering committee to investigate me?
Okay. That meeting did happen the same night I got kicked out.
That's impossible.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. And here's why. Here's why. Because they immediately posted pictures of my property on Facebook saying that it was from a steering committee investigation. So who from the steering committee leaked out investigation from the steering committee without even calling us to see where we live, to come up with false information to try to have us removed? Who did it?
Okay, Luke, I can tell you right now, I heard about your grading going on at a place in Newry, but I'm telling you right now, I'm looking you in the eye, I didn't focus my mind on that stuff, so I can't answer a question that I don't know.
But there should be minutes. I asked Shannon Baker. She says she don't know what I'm talking about. I asked Tyler Jordan. He said he don't know what I'm talking about. He said it never happened. At the meeting on October 10th, where supposedly they met, there was only 3 people left in the steering committee.
Which was a quorum.
Which was a quorum. One of them was at the meeting with us, Tyler Jordan.
Tommy James, Kelly Winchester, and Shannon Baker.
Tyler Jordan was with us. So where's the minutes from those meetings?
They're handwritten. I'll get them to you.
Yes.
But I also know this. I'm telling you straight up, I inquired about that because you asked me.
Yeah.
There was talk about you and when you were moving there and when you officially said you was moving there or not. And they said that they knew that you was living in Newry. Okay. Was you living in Newry on October 10th?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, how about just a phone call?
Yeah. So what kind of investigation? What kind of investigation don't speak to people? Does not look at their address where they get their mail, does not look where their clothes are, does not look where their animals are. What kind of investigation would that be? I mean, this is man to man. This is what upsets me. So I'm coming directly. You're an investigator.
Well, you feel how I feel.
An investigator. So I'm coming directly to you and saying, what kind of crappy investigation is that? And who leaks it to random people? Because if you was the head of that, if you was the head of that committee, if you was the head of that committee at that time, that means it falls on you.
And calling us liars.
And calling me liar, saying that I'm sending line, this, that, and the other.
Well,
so
no, I
straight
wasn't.
Up with me.
I'm being straight up with you. The night that happened, was October 10th because I was getting kicked out that night. I would have been at that steering committee meeting.
So you said it did happen.
It did happen.
And you're
And it
saying
happened
that
at-
there was an investigation. So you ordered the investigation.
No, I didn't.
Who did?
I chair it. I don't tell them what the.
So you chaired,
Everybody makes
you
up.
chaired a meeting where they ordered an investigation.
No, I didn't. I was at the October 10th meeting where I got kicked out. It happened the same night. I'm telling you the honest God truth.
And you can get those minutes to me.
I'll get the minutes to you.
Perfect.
But what I can tell you,
I'll also want to know who was the investigator. I'll also want to know who leaked it. And I want to know who is responsible for the slander. I want to know which one of them it is. I want to know everybody was there.
what is the slander? Tell me what it is.
Sitting there, they're going on our place saying that we are breaking the rules,
Saying that we're liars.
that we're stuff, having
That we're
our
not
precinct have meetings to replace us.
Now,
Why
that
did
happened
Mickey
after we was
Haney-
kicked
why did
out,
Mickey
right?
Haney come as parliamentarian to my precinct when he don't live there, and he was wrong on everything that he did as parliamentarian? He had people who wasn't part of the precinct voting. He had people who wasn't part of the precinct in executive session. He said that I couldn't record it when I can. He done all these things. He is not a very good parliamentarian. He done everything wrong, but they kept him there. Why? Why is OCC's man coming into South Union trying to have me removed and giving his opinion of why they should remove me in the meeting?
I know because he was asked to come there by the president or whoever the president was at the time.
Who is OCC?
That's why he was asked to come
So
there.
OCC is taking over the precinct that I was in.
Ribbenacker's not an OCC.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are.
Oh, yes,
Carl Rebernacher absolutely is.
absolutely.
He was on your podcast, Lewis Collins and Mickey Haney.
Yep.
Fashion, Luke.
Well, there's like 2,000 of them. I don't know who else legitimately. who's
Well, there's
not.
some things that when we get to talking about it, this is where I was done wrong. Now, am I perfect at the same time? No. Are you perfect at the same time? No.
Nope.
But at the same time, we need to be honest with each other, and I want the minutes. I want to know who's responsible. I want to know why in the world the OCC has authority to get things from the steering committee. And number 4 here says, conspiring with OCC leaders to undermine the work of the steering committee and nullify progress achieved. There was a meeting where they voted 7-1, I believe it was. Me and you talked about it, the decorum thing. And you said you wasn't going to hinder free speech. They wanted people to act decent when they was discussing things in public because they was representatives of the OCRP. Now, before they even made it home, and they live pretty close, Miss Pat Murray does, and she said before she made it home that her phone was blowing up because Matthew Durham was posting that this shouldn't happen. Why did you go straight from the steering committee and have it run through the OCC and Matt Durham before they could even get home?
Let me read what you're talking about again. You read it real fast.
Conspiring with OCC leaders to undermine the work of the steering committee and nullify the progress achieved. This one is by the Post-Conflict Reconciliation Committee. But the steering committee meeting, the vote and everything that I'm talking about happened because me and you discussed it.
Tell me the meeting though, so that I can understand. What's the crutch on that?
Perry and them was being pretty rude. And they said, hey, for our people who are precinct leaders and this, that, and the other, we need to have some decorum. So if they're going to say it, just try to be respectful of how they talk while they're in public because they are a representation of the party. And I believe we have that here from Josh
sent
Owens.
you a recommendation. and then
He sent you a recommendation on how to work. But before they could even get home, it had already ran through the OCC. And this wasn't an uncommon occurrence, apparently. The OCC, I know that you and Matt's buddies. I understand that. And I know y'all do politics and everything.
Yeah.
But the OCC should have no say over the OCRP ever. The OCRP should be its own thing, and the OCRP shouldn't have any say over the OCC ever because the OCC should be its own thing.
We actually
You work
had a
together
meeting
where you
at
want
Pub-
to, but you're separate entities.
Yeah,
we
but
had a meeting at Pub Blue where Dave Nix.
Okay, we've got the next clip coming up, but you want to comment on clip number 3?
Yeah, I think there's 3 things that we want to bring up in that. The first one is he requested that I get you guys under control, and I told him that I would would ask you guys to calm down and stop attacking him.
Number 1, there is such things as he made reference many times in even clip number 2 at the 25-35 mark. It's called freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech as a news organization, which unfortunately you feel that we're not legitimate, but actually we are. We're going to tell the news and we're going to break it down. things of the such. So, the argument about, well, we don't want to censor freedom of speech, well, it goes both ways. And if I wanted to curtail the freedom of speech, I would not allow him to be on this program tonight. I'm giving him that opportunity to hear what he has to say. I'm not censoring anything he says. So getting us under control, no, we're going to do this show and we're going to continue to do it. I'm sorry, it's part of the freedom of speech, which you made reference to twice. He's made reference to it twice. But if I wanted to curtail the freedom of speech, I would not have even had no issue to play this at all on this show. But I felt that it was important to many people in Oconee County that they need to hear this, because this is his first opportunity to speak out about everything that's going on. I don't know if he's ever done when he was kicked out or anything other than what we've seen in the paper. So I felt that it was important to the citizens of Oconee County to hear it out of his own mouth.
It is important. And that's what more of the stories even is about, is getting direct information from the
That's
source.
correct.
But
now, I want to mention about the abortion, okay? Number one, when it comes to abortion, I don't agree with it, okay? But again, let me preface this. It's not my choice. I cannot tell a female what to do. That's between her and her God. But I kind of understand in certain situations where the mother's life is in danger and certain things, I can understand that. But when it comes to abortion, no, I don't like that. Now, my other co-host, they have their opinions, and that's their opinions. Mm-hmm. And in the United States of America, the Constitution affords us that right.
That's correct.
It affords us the right to have our own beliefs and systems. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to be a Baptist or a Catholic or anything like that. It's if we're talking about this, it's Constitution. It's a belief. So just because one person believes a certain way and another believes a certain way, that's the great beauty of this country. And if you want to try to take that away from people, then I think we're going to have a real problem.
Exactly. There's two more things that we want to bring out of that section. I got one. Jennifer's got one. We got them here ready. Since this happened last night, I do have I've been able to get my hands on some of these things, such as the emails where we was asking him to get everybody under control, and then instead of doing that, he turned around and kind of went at Rainey along with Perry during the email chain. But he'd mentioned the bombshell. He said the bombshell was Drew McKissick. And I remember that me and him had a text conversation, and he told me something completely different.
That's
so
text or email?
This is text.
Oh, I thought it was email.
This is text. And because I asked him about it. This was after that meeting where I was telling him I walked out because he wouldn't adopt his own agenda. So for everybody just to understand that this is a clarification that what he had told me originally and what he says in the video are two different things. And here's what he said originally. This was on October 1st about the bombshell. And this is just for what it is, because he said both things, and people can make up their minds on whichever one they want to go with. Because I asked him about the bombshell. He said, I have not been able to publicly show the bombshell. This is on October 1st, which is after that September meeting where he was supposed to do it. Mm-hmm. I have not been able to publicly show you the bombshell just yet for two reasons. First, I don't want to be accused of disseminating obscene and offensive material through my phone or computer. Second, it's what I understand and told the county attorney may look at this because this person sits on a county committee position. That's why I backed off throwing it out there, because I don't know what the county might do. I'll be glad to show you this information in person. You can decide for yourself. But that has nothing to do with Drew McKissick. That was I'm not even gonna say who that was to right here.
Right, I get it.
So, but it wasn't Drew McKissick. So I've got two stories right now. One is that it was about somebody sitting on a board.
I get it. I know. Yeah. Okay.
The other was he said that meeting where they told that they was going to do an investigation into us was on October 10th. He said that in this video.
So it was on the same night of that meeting.
Go ahead and read that, please.
Well, I have a couple problems with that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Number one, I'm reading from Lewis Collins, pretty much trying to school me on how this investigation thing happened. Kept trying to tell us to prove pictures that we had them. It was posted on his site. Perry posted a picture of our driveway calling us liars. Mm-hmm. And once again, Lewis is trying to spin it. and trying to tell me, who is not a part of the steering committee. He was not named in any of that conversation.
Neither one of them are.
But he seems to know a whole lot of information about
Supposed.
us. Well, on a on a Facebook post, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it was lengthy. But he said, as been stated multiple times, a private investigator took that picture due to an investigation that your husband was claiming to live somewhere he wasn't for political reasons. And then
Can it stop? Private
a
investigator?
private
He
investigator.
said, "See, so I want to know who that is."
And he said, I'm only going to
well,
and then on
okay,
another
okay,
post,
okay.
he said, I'm only doing this to address an accusation made yesterday. It will be the only statement made, and we're moving on. Yesterday, the accusation was made that Perry Smith was stalking Luke. That's not true. The photograph in question was part of an investigation by the steering committee to investigate Luke and his wife's assumed resignation of South Union Precinct. If you watched Luke's videos lately, they're mostly all from one location, Luke's camper, located on Luke's property in Seneca. This can be confirmed with the tax office. The steering committee did confirm Luke's assumed resignation Monday night.
That's
That same Monday night.
That's October 10th. So what I said to David there was it was impossible that the October 10th be when they said they was going to do an investigation into me. The investigation had to have happened prior to that.
It had to happen prior.
If they went ahead and
Well,
concluded that they was going to kick me out
I just
on
have
the 10th.
I just have a big thing about they hired a PI knowing what we have in our possession concerning getting rid of the files, and you know the conversation that I'm referring to. I'm blown away right now.
Not just that. What kind of private investigator would not see where somebody's staying at night, would not see where their animals are, would not see where their clothes are, would not see where they get mail, would not have a conversation,
Who
would
paid
not
for
watch
it?
to see where they sleep?
Who paid for it?
Yeah.
Where's the documentation?
This is all
No one.
Nothing's
We
lining
never
up
got
right.
one phone
the,
call.
The picture is getting clear.
Never got one phone call.
And in the comment that you made, you pretty much said it yourself about the OCRP and the OCC and the separate identities. You made that very clear, and I absolutely agree with what you said. I saw firsthand Thursday that the infighting and the strife is still happening.
It is.
It is still happening
There's no
between.
unity.
There's no unity, and again, there will never be unity. I don't see a path, and everybody wants to preach we all need to get along, and I've heard it several times that he's made reference to it, David has. There's never going to be in unity as long as you have certain people still pushing the buttons and the triggers and all this, that, and the other stuff. I actually had high hopes for the new president. I thought maybe he's a nice guy, but I don't see anything changing. Everything is still the same.
How can you have unity when you start off, and which I didn't know about it? I mean, I didn't realize this in the very, very beginning either. When you have everybody going against the Lake people, Bill Jerome, and then the old guard.
It's adamant, and David has every right to feel the way he does, and I know the whole situation. And again, he made the comment, it goes back to the Lake people. It's the same thing that I have said from day one on Let's Talk Oconee. It's all about the Lake people. There is a hatred for those Lake people because they live on the lake, and he and his father, Wallace, they lost all that property. But I can assure you that they were paid by Duke Power at the time for that property. Now, I understand they lost it, but, there's a lot of other people that lost property. Let's see, Oscar Wigington, who owned part of the whole Little River, over 5,000-something acres he had to give up. So many people lost property. But I tell you, had it not have been for them losing the property, we would have been a whole different shape because we would be really poor. We would not have the Duke Energy. We would not have the tax dollars. So I want to make a reference. Yeah, you may hate those Lake people. And again, he's right. When he refers to the county council race that he ran, Tim Hall beat him in 1998 by over 300-something votes. That's fact. When Stamp Creek vote precinct came in, they annihilated David in the county council race. That's true. That is a complete factual statement, and I can understand that there was hatred, and to this day there's still hatred. But again, it's got to end.
Well, it'd be good to point out that the Lake people did not flood the land.
No, the Lake people did not flood the land. It was Duke Power with their project, the Kiwi Toxaway project. They flooded the land. So if you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at Duke Power. Don't be mad at the people that came in and bought the property up for pennies on the dollar back in the late 70s and 80s. That's where we're at, and that's always been the situation. It's us versus the lake people. Finally, before we get into I know we need to get into this next clip here, which is the final clip this evening. I want to make reference. You were talking about, I think it was the when he came out and started supporting certain candidates last year. I do want to clarify that it was true. He did make a video. And David, you did make the video, and you posted it on your Facebook page claiming that Knapp was for District 1, and she was the Christian, and you made reference kind of that I was not a Christian, nor was Don Mize. You never mentioned anything about us. And that was a video that was on your Facebook page, and I believe at some point it was in the paper too. I'll go back and research that to make sure. I'm pretty sure it was in the paper that you talked about Knapp being a Christian. That's the issue that I had. Instead of letting us candidates run and do what we need to do, then after we win, you should support the winner of the primary. Had you not have, this Perry Smith thing is where most of it started really going downhill. And again, this is because of your own fault. Had you done what was supposed to have been done, I don't think we would be sitting here having this conversation as we are now. But I will say one thing. I still have not got my debate that you said you were going to set up in a conversation that you told me, and you did tell my wife that you were working on a debate. We never had a debate. Don Mize and I never had a debate. In part, as the Republican Party chairman, that is your responsibility. You want your candidates to debate. You want to lead your party. You want to show that's effective leadership. David, that didn't happen. And that is I can't make it up. It's the truth. So, you want to talk about the truth, there are the truths. I am a Christian. I'm a believer of God. But to have that said really upset me. Because that's just not what should have been said. It was all about Knapp. Now, Kay, great, I've met her, no problem, no, nice person, okay, I've met her. But that really is what upset me going forth last year. And then again, I'm sitting here taking all these beatings from Perry Smith. I'm not the enemy. But apparently, according to him, I'm the devil, the spawn of Satan. I'm a Democrat. I have voted in every Republican election that there's been. And I might add that I've been voting for a hell of a long time, too.
He just gets mad.
So anyway, this next clip
Yes.
does contain some controversial stuff.
It does. The next clip is going to get into, especially at the end of the clip, it's 25 minutes long, I believe, but we get into where we actually ask the people's questions. We was running out of daylight, so the last few minutes are rushed. And so if anybody's, waiting to see their questions answered, this is where it happens at. And I do want to, before we jump into it, say that the things that I have said here, and Jennifer, to where we're kind of contradicting what was said in that clip right there is only because we have the facts to back it up. We're not saying anything
We've
that is
never
opinion
said
on
anything.
that. So we have the emails, we have the text, and we have the screenshots.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead. This is the final clip of the interview. More to the story with former Oconee Republican Chairman David McMahan. So here comes the final clip.
And they live pretty close, Miss Pat Murray does. And she said before she made it home that her phone was blowing up because Matthew Durham was posting that this shouldn't happen. Why did you go straight from the steering committee and have it run through the OCC and Matt Durham before they could even get home?
Let me read what you're talking about again. You read it real fast.
Conspiring with OCC leaders to undermine the work of the steering committee and nullify the progress achieved. This one is by the Post-Conflict Reconciliation Committee. But the steering committee meeting, the vote and everything that I'm talking about happened because me and you discussed it.
Tell me the meeting though, so that I can understand. What's the crutch on that?
Perry and them was being pretty rude, and they said, hey, for our people who are precinct leaders and this, that, and the other, we need to have some decorum. So if they're going to say it, just try to be respectful of how they talk while they're in public because they are a representation of the party. And I believe we have that here from Josh Owens.
Recommendation.
He sent you a recommendation on how to work. But before they could even get home, it had already ran through the OCC. And this wasn't an uncommon occurrence, apparently. The OCC, I know that you and Matt's buddies. I understand that. And I know y'all do politics and everything.
Yeah.
But the OCC should have no say over the OCRP ever. The OCRP should be its own thing, and the OCRP shouldn't have any say over the OCC ever, because the OCC should be its own thing. You work together where you want to, but you're separate entities.
Yeah,
We
but
had a meeting at Pub Blue where Dave Nix, before we were even elected in, that said there has to be a clear line between the OCC and OCRP.
who said that?
David Nix.
It happened at a steering committee meeting where I was just watching.
Well, it's
It
just like
happened more than once.
it's just like what happens in Washington. You've heard of the Freedom Caucus in Washington, right?
Yeah.
The Freedom Caucus is hoping that the rest of the Senate and the Congress and the House of Representatives will look their way. And the Democrats, they're hoping that everybody will look their way.
Right.
The OCC is hoping people will look their way. That's just the way that's the way it is. There's no hiding the fact that the OCC wants no abortion, southern borders. We say it, and we want every EC to believe in that too.
And me as OCRP agrees with that 100%.
We want OCRP. Yes, there's nothing hiding that we wish that every executive committee member would think like we do. Absolutely. There's nothing sneaky about that.
Naturally, that's where your elections come in.
Yeah. There's nothing sneaky about that. We want people to believe like we do. And like I said, there's nothing sneaky, nothing tricky. I'm saying it. You absolutely we want people to think that way.
David, and there's a lot of people who you fired over like one thing.
Deception, Jennifer. It was deception.
But it's very closed-minded, because it's, these are people that you were friends with, and then there's people that you all handpicked to be a part of the
Sure,
OCC
it
and
was
to be vice chairman and to be, state EC.
If you was the chairman, you could pick who you wanted to too. Luke
No,
could
I'm
too.
saying beforehand, before we even were elected. And, everyone was we all are conservative, and we have the same values.
I tell you, I've learned a big lesson right here. Well, some people aren't as conservative as others.
True.
Am I right, Luke?
Absolutely, you are.
And I am hardcore conservative.
Yes.
And so I will put blame where blame is due. I'm hardcore conservative, but I can't say that I apologize for that.
No,
I can't.
there ain't nothing to apologize there.
And
I apologize for.
And I try to. It's just like.
But to have the whole OCRP be hard conservative and traitors or rhinos or Democrats or other names that people call them, just because we don't see eye to eye on every single thing, or we talk to the wrong people, or we shouldn't be doing this. I mean, there's a lot more.
Uh-oh.
We got some company. So
That some of your friends?
no, I don't know who it is.
They might just be
Might be just checking out, see what we're doing.
Oh.
So
pause for a second.
yeah, go ahead and pause this. Bottom one. No, I just chose the parking lot. Oh, so all right. So we had a little pause there, but this is, since it's getting late and getting dark and everything, we're going to try to go on through this as fast as we can. So what we have here is the draft from Josh from that steering committee meeting, and he said, "This is an example. This is an example created by Josh Owens for Mr. McMahan to send out to the OCRP officers requesting a higher level of decorum." So here's what he wrote. He wrote, "In the challenging times we face today, it is important that all Republicans lead by example. However we conduct ourselves in communications is a direct reflection of character. Respect and civility are hallmarks of a good Republican. Disagreements arise, that's human nature, but personal attacks and emotional rhetoric are the calling card of the Democrat Party. It is my wish that they stay there where they belong. I encourage each of you from the top to the bottom, elected and unelected of the party, to stand up for what you believe in. Please do it in a manner we can all be proud of. Thank you." But the letter that was actually sent out, the letter you actually sent out, if you did send it out or if you just made it up, I'm not sure, was very different from that, and it talked about punishment.
That I sent out.
I don't know if you sent it out or if you just wrote it up. So let me look through my paperwork here and see if I can find
Should be on the bottom.
right here. It says, "It has come to," this is your version, it says, and you got your signature
This
right
is
here, David
something that-
McMahan.
This is something that Josh suggested that I write.
Josh
Is that what it
suggested that that's how y'all present it to people talking about requesting decorum when they're dealing with people.
was? Okay.
All right, here's what you wrote according to this. And you can look at it and see if these are your words or not. It has come to my attention during our biweekly steering committee meeting that some of our elected officers have been rude to public or elected officials. Even though these elected officials are there to serve the people and may have disparaging attitudes themselves toward their constituents, and I have been instructed through a majority vote to ask any party officials refrain from any negative or hurtful comments for any elected official, Democrat or Republican, for any failure to follow this suggests could result in disciplinary actions guided by the party bylaws. Now, those two things are very different. And this is the one where Miss Pat Murray said she didn't even make it home before the OCC was talking about this. And what does she live, like 5 minutes?
She lives in QEQ. We're made it home from a steering committee meeting.
Mm-hmm.
From
she said it
the
was
church.
just a few minutes drive.
From the church, it's a good 20 minutes. I don't know.
So if it's 20 minutes, though, I mean, the OCC to have stuff in less than 20 minutes, having things fan through
I'm not
before
sure if
everything's done.
I mean, that is there something wrong with what I said right there? I don't understand.
It's taking a lot of liberty going away from saying, hey, guys, let's all try to be respectful when we're talking to people. Stand up for what you believe in, but do it in a way we can be proud of.
Yeah.
I've been told by them to tell you to do this or there'll be disciplinary actions.
Well, there was people bombarding me probably about some of the harsh criticism, and you was wanting me to settle people down. Maybe that's why I said that. I honestly can't remember. I put out a lot of letters.
I just think that we shouldn't be, it's my personal opinion, that if I'm a representative of something, that I should do it whatever I'm doing in a way that don't hurt whatever I'm a representative of. And I'm pretty sure you'd agree with that. I mean, if you was going to your church as a representative, you wouldn't want to go out there and cuss somebody out.
Yeah. Pat Murray, did you hear about the beatdown letter I got?
I don't reckon. A beatdown?
Yep.
I remember you saying you got a random letter and that you went to a parking lot trying to find the source of it.
Yep.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yep. But
All
you
right,
didn't know the whole story, though.
No, go ahead.
Pat Murray was awful mad at me. She would try to take control of the meeting, the steering committee meetings. And when she would get mad, she would take her knuckles and hit the table every time she said a word. This will not happen today. I'm just using that as an example. And she got mad. I don't want to outspeak and not be truthful here. I'm trying to think what she got mad about. She got mad about something, and I swear to God I can't. But anyway, I'll never forget it. She was, we will not do this. And I said, yes, we will. I went doing it back at her, and it made her mad. I was mad too, because she was trying to take over the steering committee, and she was arguing with her own bylaws, is what the strange thing about it was. Well, she was huffing and puffing mad at me. I got a phone call from the Family Life Center that she is involved with, about giving kids
They give out diapers and things like that, yeah.
I got a phone call from a lady there, and she said, Mr. McMahan, said, we've got a letter on our desk, and we opened it up thinking that it belonged to us. And said, it's very disturbing, said, you need to call the sheriff's office. And I went down there and got the letter, and sure enough, they was going to beat me up and leave me unconscious on the side of the road and all this mess.
And this was at the Foothills Care
and
Center?
it was on a desk, Foothills Care Center.
It was signed by Pat Murray?
No, I'm not saying it was signed by, it was anonymous. But why was it in the same building on somebody's desk? Why was that letter there?
Yeah. That's the one you said it had an address, and
I went there. It went there because they was going to beat me down, and I'm like, I've had a lot meaner people tell me they're going to kill me than this person that's anonymous in this letter. And I was going to find out who was going to kill me. If you're going to beat somebody down unconscious, that's great bodily harm. You could die from that, and I don't take that lightly at all.
Right.
And
nobody would.
No. So I went to that park, and it was an address in Central, and I went to that address, and it was a ball field. So, but I got the letter from a desk from Foothills Care Center, and the little girl that gave it to me, I said, how did this get here? And she says, I don't know.
Did y'all do any searching into?
You can't, I mean,
That was from a steering, so you're saying because of Pat with the steering, I mean,
I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying,
You're saying it's a big
you
coincidence.
said investigations.
well, the vice
The
chair-
investigations would
vice
lead
chair is
me-
the head in charge of the steering committee, is she not? Or
Yeah,
he?
they're the COO of the steering committee according to the bylaws. The vice chair is.
You appoint them. as
Yeah.
the
And they
chair,
run
and
they basically run it.
vice chair is supposed to run the meetings and,
But
be in charge of them.
No, what I'm saying is this letter.
Mhm.
This letter wasn't found in this church. That letter wasn't found
it's
in the
found
floor
in
of
a place
Walmart.
associated with the
It
person
wasn't
that you
found.
was upset with.
It wasn't found at Burger King. It was found in an office where I just had a heck of a fight with, just beating her fist on the stuff like this. And I said to myself I said, for the amount of money I'm getting paid for this, why am I involved in this?
It's
Why
all
do
free.
Why do I go
It's
home
all
with my
free.
nerves like this every night?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
anyway, I hope that answered your questions about the 4 allegations.
so we're going to have to go kind of quick through this, yes. But
Okay.
so we're looking for evidence of why people were calling you a thief is the whole point of this thing.
I don't want to be called a thief no more. I think I've showed y'all documentation. Do you want to see the bank report? I'll show it to
I'd
you
like
right
to.
now.
I know we're going.
Did Jim Mann not show you this?
No, I've not seen no bank. I don't know. Everybody seems to think that Jim tells us stuff.
Well, why are these
Why would
people
he?
going around saying I'm a thief when they don't?
Talking about you to anyone.
Here's why. When you have a man who is the head of a company and he gets fired and he takes the money of the company with him and they have to go to court to get it back and it's over a month.
You saw the whole thing while that
I
lasted.
did, but here's what I'm saying. Those people hadn't seen this. This is fixing to come out.
Okay.
So
Good.
if you're just looking from the outside in and you don't have this inside knowledge, what does that look like to you?
Well,
So you can understand how people would come.
Well,
back
well,
to
you told me a little while ago the main chairman is the guy that where the buck stops. How come
It
he
is.
didn't? I was getting tired, man. I was getting tired of all
ask,
the.
I asked a good many questions, so, but I don't know what. Let's see what I asked about. I asked, did we get the stuff back? And then it was a no. There was going to be a court date. And then I asked, okay, so are we going to get it back? Then it was no. We got to elect people. So we elected people. And then I was like, okay, do we get it back? No, it went to Greenville. So that's what I asked. So I got basically an overall guideline, but I ain't get no detail of these are the emails, these are the texts. I don't know what people think, that me and Jim are just out here holding hands and walking around like 16-year-old girls, but
No,
we
it's
ain't.
just what people were not given information, so you're just left to putting everything together the way the journals put, giving you
Yeah.
the information.
Well, and all the time I'm just sitting here thinking, all right, I've been kicked out, and I'm gonna let it go. But then I start for the next 6, 7, 8 months being called a thief. Right there's the accountant. You're welcome to look at it.
All right. We'll take a look at this. It'll probably be off video, but we will take a look at this and everything we'll see that it's here and what we can do. But we're running out of daylight. So do you mind if I ask you some of these questions that people sent?
Help yourself.
And we'll look at that too. So, I mean, you ain't hid nothing from us. You brought your paperwork, your homework. So this
I'm
is great.
showing we paid $400 for a professional accountant to look at that right there.
That's perfect. That's all a man can do then. All right. So some of these right here, you've already answered with all this.
Okay.
Let's see where we want to start at. You answered that whole page. Why did you as chairman allow Perry to act the way he did on the mass party email? This is one that I'm asking. On the mass party email chains, even after I personally called on you to take control. Why did you not take control of that? Why did you just let it run amok?
Over approving minutes.
Over approving minutes. It was on the thing to approve minutes. And
It
it
was
come
on
like
something to
31
approve
emails.
minutes?
And it come to 31 emails because of him and Rainey Bond just went nuts at each other.
Did I call down Rainey too, or
You
did
didn't call down nobody. You just, I think we'll have to go back and look through the emails, but they're on my phone, which I'm using the video.
The only thing that I can answer is, first of all, if I have offended anybody, I will, in front of your listeners, apologize. But I am a big stickler about freedom of speech. And I guess if they would have jumped up and started fixing to go to slinging fist or something, I'd have done something probably. I mean, maybe I should have reacted sooner. I honestly don't remember the night. I'm not hedging your question.
No, it was just an email thing.
It was like
But
30
that
some odd
being
emails.
said, it was a majority of the people. I think it was all of the ECs.
It was only the
about
ECs.
approving the minutes.
Yeah.
And a majority of all the other people were saying this is childish. This should
Yeah.
be stopped.
And I finally come in and I said, David, this is your circus and this is your monkeys. Get in control of it, or step out of the way and let somebody that will. And I think I'll look back on the emails, but I think you did respond like you was going to let it happen.
I was going to let it keep on happening.
We'll pull the emails up and we'll post the emails. So I'll do a video saying what those emails are so that everybody can see the actual emails.
Show it. You have to show it to me because I'm, my brain ain't. I mean, I don't know.
You answered all these pretty much except one. Why did you falsely claim David Dial called you a racist on a talk show? Then you fired him after knowing that he didn't do that. It ended up being Rainey Bond that said you was racist or whatever.
I called David Dial a racist on a talk show?
No. You texted David Dial asking him why he called you a racist on a talk show, and he wasn't even on the talk show. And he got fired a week later, and you and him got into it pretty good. And he's like,
he got fired because of what I told you earlier about. He did.
okay.
I called David, or he called me. I allegedly accused him of being on a talk show.
All right. Here's the conversation. Right here. This is at 5:44. You said, how much was your involvement on tagging me as a racist? You as an officer in the party need to do one of two things: either document the time and the place the acts of racism occurred and stand by it, or either denounce it as a lie, public statement. Choice is yours. I listened to the audio, and then you said I listened to the audio at this time. All right, 9:25 Dial says, I can tell you right now, that's not me talking. I don't know who that is or where it is. I've never met Jose Cabrera at the Seneca restaurant. I don't have to. We attend church together. This sounds like a radio show or something. One would think the chairman would understand he made a mistake, but no, he doubled down. So that's a comment right here from him. So the next message is this, McMahan at 9:33. So this is 8 minutes later. Help me understand your text. Are you saying right now you can say I'm a racist? I don't understand your text.
Is that me talking?
That's you talking. But that don't add up to what he just said. I can tell you right now that is not me talking. I do not know who this is, nor where this is. I've never met Jose at the restaurant. I don't have to. We attend church together. This sounds like a radio show or something. Your next response was, help me understand the text. Are you saying right now that I'm a racist? Those two don't add up. They're going opposite directions.
Yeah, I mean, did this say that I saw an audio?
It says right here, I listened to the audio this time.
I said that.
You listened to Let's Talk Oconee. And you thought whoever I met.
Should point it out to me. It's getting dark. I listened to the audio at the
unless
time.
Unless that right there is a comment by David Dial saying this was the thing, and then I listened to the audio at this time, and then I responded this way. Unless that's what that right there is.
I'll definitely look into what you're saying and get back with you because I'm in the dark.
Okay.
I really am. Not literally in the dark.
We are. We fixing to blast right on through. We got like
I don't
three
know.
more questions.
That's I don't know.
And then and his answer to that was, understand this. I will say this one more time. I have no idea who the folks are on that recording. It sounds like a radio show. I've never been on a radio show, and I'm telling you right now, this is it. Don't effing bother me anymore. So yeah,
Seems like
pretty exciting.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Well,
I will get back with you. I will look back through my old text.
All right. Well, that's one of the questions. There's three more. One is, do you claim farm status on your property taxes while not actually farming? Do you have a vineyard?
I have a vineyard. I have 8 acres that I cut hay off of. I have another 6 acres that's pastured where I usually keep 6 to 7 horses at a time. Right now I've only got 1 because everything's so high right now. Even fertilizer, I didn't fertilize my field this year.
Right.
That's coming from Chris Rowan.
All right.
They pulled my tax records up.
All right. Next one. Why did you claim in the primaries there was only one Christian?
Can I stop you 1 minute?
Yeah.
I've got 5 acres, I think, in timber that I'm going to be cutting in the next 5 years.
Well, that's farming. All right. Well, the next question was, why did you claim in the primaries there was only one Christian running?
I didn't claim that. I said she is a Christian. I said she's a professed. If you'll look at her sign, she says Christian. I said she's the only one that's advertising she's a Christian.
Okay.
That's what I said.
So we'll look back at the wording on that.
Yep.
And the last one. Let's see. Here's the last one. No, I'm sorry. There's 2 more. Yeah. In the paper in 2022, you claimed you failed as chairman. Why didn't you resign at that point for the better of the party?
I failed as chairman because, first of all, I tried to unify the party. That's where I failed. And as much as I tried, I talked to Chuck Rao, the Stamp Creek precinct man, and he got to where he was calling me almost every day. Me and him were getting a pretty good rapport, and he would say the same thing to me. He said, we can get along if we'll just settle our differences.
Yeah.
And I did feel like I failed the party in that way because I did try to unify, but in order to unify, you got people to cooperate. But as far as just resigning, I mean, I did write the fentanyl resolution.
Right.
I wrote the Back the Blue resolution. I think I'd done a lot of things that was good for overall of Oconee County. And I wasn't going to resign because I said I failed the party in that aspect. I did fail. I'm a man that will admit to my failures. A man that don't ever admit to his failures is a foolish man. Because there's nobody perfect in this world.
I agree. All right. Last 2. These are pretty hardcore.
Okay.
Was your son one of the boys involved in the school raps on threatening to kill teachers?
I believe that that is something that could get somebody sued pretty bad if I answer that. So tell me who that is and I'll give them an answer.
All right. And last one. Do you actually have this is me. Do you actually have the video of Matt and Kate's fight in the garage?
I do.
Is there any chance of that being available?
Well,
that would solve so much of this stuff between
like I told
Matt
you
and the world,
before,
too.
when Matt gives me the okay, I'll do it. He's my friend and I won't defy him.
Fair enough. And what did you say you wanted to know about this one?
Which one?
Was your son one of the boys involved in the rap song?
Who asked you that?
I'm gonna ask the reason first before I give the answer.
Because I know that I'm not supposed to give out any information about juveniles.
So that's why you want to know who asked it?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you just said because that could be a lawsuit or something like that.
Could be.
So you would sue somebody for asking that question?
What do you mean me?
Well,
You saying it's my child?
I'm asking. That's one of the questions sent in.
I will talk to that person right there. Who is it?
I won't tell you on video.
Why?
Because if you won't tell us the answer, I mean.
Okay, fair enough.
You won't give an answer to the question. I won't give an answer to the question. We'll just call her dead.
Okay.
Okay. Well, either way, that's all that was sent in. So everybody, I know it's been late. I appreciate you taking the time, bringing all this stuff. The people can see every bit of this. They can make up their own mind. They can see the text messages. I'm sure if anybody says, hey, I don't believe that was really what it was saying, that you would be willing to show them if it was worth anything.
I'll show anybody anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're pretty open and transparent about every bit of it. So
yeah, that's
pretty much all you can ask for. So we'll be reaching out to Drew McKissick through email, just like we said we would. And I will get with Jim about all this too. And
okay.
We'll see, because I like to have both sides of everything, you know. So
well, I've got the documentation, and whatever he tells you should be in line with this.
Yeah. Well, it'll take documentation for documentation.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end. That is clip number 4 tonight of the interview with the former chairman of the Oconee Republican Party. David McMahan. Luke?
I do want to clarify that me and David did have a conversation this morning. He knew he was going to be on the show. He did not recommend that we be on the show. You guys have no credibility.
Okay.
So on top of that, he also told me that when we get to that point, I best get up and walk out.
Okay.
But I'm not going to get up and walk out. That's not the way it's going to be. But what I am going to do...
I want to reference, though, that he made free speech. I want to make a reference again, free speech. 3 times, he's all about free speech. So, again, it's free speech.
Well, the thing is, he did let me know that he was going to be recording this show, which is fine. You know, he can record anything he wants to, and this is his answer. I'm not saying anything past his answer. We asked the question that we was requested to ask. He chose not to answer it, and we're just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to lead into it with what I think that means or anything like that. I'm going to let it speak for itself. It is what it is.
Do you know the person?
I know the person.
Okay.
I won't tell who it is.
Okay. I wanted to clarify that. Again, one other final thought that I saw again on the video, and we keep going back. Again, David did post a video right before the primary, and he did say in the video, David, you did say, quote, K-Knapp was the only Christian running. That's the exact words you said in your video. So that was said. That was said before. Any final things that we need to discuss?
I do believe that we need to talk to Pat Murray.
I do believe we need to reach out to Pat Murray. I am going to be trying to get the bank statement information from Jim, trying to find out what I can there, and I will be emailing Drew McKissick about the phone call that he referenced. And
yeah, I'm interested to hear the outcome of that one, of what actually did happen. So I would be happy to, we'd do a follow-up. And again, I'm glad that we could come together and do a joint show tonight, because I really believe that this needed to be heard. I think people had all these questions, and, again...
I'm glad he came. And
yeah, and again, he wanted to. He reached out to you, and again... I'm a very good opportunity. Luke, you did a great job, asking the questions. And I think that there's still some questions and some doubts here that need to be tied up, that need to be looked at.
Well, I did ask him if he would like to be on this show. And he said to me in the phone call or whatever that he wouldn't mind. It's the way basically it boiled down to is he wouldn't mind that. So that might be something to either request him to see if he wants to come, or at least extend that invitation, and then he can say whatever he wants to. But I'm gonna let the interview though speak for itself. The people can make up their own mind. It's his words. I don't need to put no words in his mouth. But the things that he said in the video that he had contradicted, things he had previously said that I have on paper, I will call that out, because you can't have 2 answers to the same question and both of them be true.
I want to ask you one more final question. What was the deposition, or was it ever mentioned, the deposition from SLED concerning that larceny?
Yes.
Did he mention anything? Because I don't recall in the interview hearing what the deposition was.
No, on the interview he didn't mention that, but afterwards we always end up just talking afterwards and stuff. But afterwards he said that basically it was handed over from the Oconee Sheriff's Department to SLED, and when SLED got it, they just threw it in the trash.
Okay. So apparently, according to him, that was the deposition that SLED threw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Hey, thank y'all so much.
All right, thank y'all for having
I've
us.
enjoyed it. Again, hopefully we can get some of this clarification again, and we'll work together and have another show here coming up down the road. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us again. For more information, for more to the story, you can go to Facebook, and you can find there, just search More to the Story, Luke and Jennifer. And again, you can see these videos for yourself. They're also available right now on Let's Talk Oconee, SC.com. They'll be available on the website and also, too, on our Facebook page. For Luke, for Jennifer, and for everyone else, have a great evening. Thank you so much. It is 9:30. Have a pleasant Tuesday evening, everybody.
Thank y'all.
The biggest fans, they got your politicians in the palm of their hand.